Might need to adjust the monitoring a little bit. Hey, sick demo. Yeah, I think probably mix this a little bit more towards being able to hear myself in my ears and then take up my desktop audio to compensate. And I just drove along the ceiling and did absolutely nothing for a period of like 20 years. How did that not go off me? Okay, we're doing that. Spiked. Everyone whiffs. God bless America. So this is the first outing, I guess, with the new Behringer interface, and with a whopping 2 microphones hooked up to it instead of just one. How that didn't count as a save is beyond me. So whoever's taken up residence on the couch at any given moment can join in with no problems, and I don't have to swap microphones to set up a couch stream situation. You just kind of go. I definitely like the interface so far. It's seems at the very least quite a bit more durable than the Focusrite. That could have been very easily extremely bad. Oh, it's about to be very bad, actually. It is in fact very bad right now. Fuck. Burb says, I'm here. Hello. Congratulations on arriving. I'm watching the noise levels in the interface, and they seem mostly reasonable. Not quite. Gecko says, welcome, stage of history, etc. Yeah, soul burning and all that. Hey, dude. Says, you can probably tell from the title, this is one of those streams where I test new equipment and it maybe goes well but usually doesn't. Amp says, alright, I need to change my name again. I'm trying to drop the Burb alias. Got a little bit too one-dimensional for you, or just looking for a change of pace? How did that do so much damage? Oh yeah, and of course that counts as a save. But approximately a bazillion fucking damage gets me 1 measly medal. There we go. Honestly, I can't wait for, well, says echo, question mark? Huh. Is it that strong? So if I do this, does it go away? Just hit the fucking pad button on the interface. I want to get Wes like a pedal or something, maybe. Well, says, yeah, it's gone now. Alright, I'm gonna try something right after this to then see if I can give Wes a noise gate instead of having that on by default. And we'll see. Because the reason that's happening is I just got 2 fucking microphones, and right now the room mic is boosted to hell because Wes is probably the quietest person on the planet of Earth. So this is basically a worst case scenario kind of test. Oh, is it that bad? Oh, that's kind of unfortunate. Oh well. You figure there's always going to be some kind of problem in an audio setup like this. Probably should have grounded it. Probably should have done the smart thing. Alright, so let me get the hell out of here. So I'm going to turn that back on. Okay. Calculated, sure. Whatever you want, dude. And then, what do we do here? Okay, let's patch the dynamics processing back in here. And so now the second microphone should be totally silent unless Wes does something like pick up a coffee mug. Say hi, Wes. Okay, so that does work. Fantastic.
Sorry, I'm kind of immersed in Path right now.
Yeah, deep diving. I gotcha. Just want to make sure that this thing works out.
If you hop on Path, I'll probably...
You'll probably...
I'll probably sit around and talk about passive. Just kind of at the moment.
Yeah, I might do that in a bit. Just wanted to start up with something that wasn't maybe so direct. So how's that, guys? Hopefully quite a bit more audible than Wes showing up from across the fucking Atlantic Ocean. God, I love Rocket League. This is such a good video game. Like, I don't even know what the intended strategy was in this situation. Chris says, Wes sounds good. Fantastic. Oh, well, we just did the same thing, but I don't think that was my fault either. Like, what happened here? Oh, my teammate just didn't participate in the kickoff at all. Okay. Gecko says, okay, I'm done with this. Wes sounds like Wes. All right. If Wes sounds like Wes, that's probably the most important. That's probably the most appropriate thing for him to sound like. It would be worrying if Wes sounded like something that was not Wes. Ah, thought I had a little bit more boost. So yeah, I'm gonna do the irritating thing probably where I play like 1 or 2 more games of Rocket League and then immediately switch over to Path and just run up and down Blood Aqueducts with the fucking automated motherfucker. No, not that one, the other one, the new one, the one that uses the Martyr of Innocence and a 7-link Vengeance. Well, Amp, I support you in your quest to change your identity, but you should probably start by changing your usernames. Oh! I was totally off base there. Nope, that's not going anywhere useful. Hey, Jin. Wells says, my guy said 7-link Vengeance. Why would you go for that? Oh, yeah. It's pretty funny, too. The character's really not together in any sort of a meaningful sense, though. Like, I literally just got it into Blood Aqueduct, like, an hour ago. And, like, it runs Blood Aqueduct quite adequately, but that's pretty much all it does at the moment. I think I'm missing skillers in some places as well. Every time I try to dribble the ball, I forget that there's absolutely no reason to do it ever. Amp says, I don't think I can change it on mobile, can I? I mean, if you log into the website, you probably can. But then you already knew that. And the Twitch website does work adequately if you make sure to set your browser of choice to desktop mode. Like, it just generally functions. It's not a pretty sight to behold, but all the important functionality is pretty much there. I'm gonna see if I can center here. Or, yeah, let's do that. Not quite. Alright, now I guess I have to challenge here to create time. Nice. The worst possible fashion in which to hit that ball. But I grazed it lightly, so I contributed. So I don't think I sound a whole lot different on this thing. Budget interfaces are budget interfaces. What I will say is that the monitoring sounds considerably better, and it's considerably easier for me to work with, because there is now a balance slider, instead of me having to use the absolute value of the fucking... Like, I've got to make my own balance slider with a combination of, okay. With a combination of the global system volume and my mic gain. Now I can just adjust the balance right away. Overall, this thing works way better as a DAC. Everything sounds better when I'm plugged into it. And, well, it fits really nicely under my fucking monitor stand, that's for sure. It's just more flexible. I think that counts for a lot. All right, crossbar hero. Crossbar hero. Go with it. Go with it. Oh. When you trust your teammate to do literally anything. Nope. And that was a free goal for me if I had been aware enough to realize that somebody had whiffed, but hey. Nah. Alright, you go, Fennel. You achieve your dreams. I believe in you. Okay. No, I'm sad. The other thing about this interface is that when I change the volume in my ears, it doesn't change the volume on the stream, which is, that's the second fucking time you've just whiffed the ball completely on kickoff. It's stationary. It's in the same place every time. What the fuck are you trying to accomplish? You did it again! What are you doing? This really is not that hard. Good fucking lord. And they just gave me a free shot for no reason, I guess. Fuck you, I have no trust. I have no trust, I'm going for it. Arcata with this singular digital penny that says, the gang tries to put the ball in the goal. Uh-oh, I gotta fucking challenge that one too, huh? Okay, I'm not gonna get that boost. And I've successfully abandoned my teammate to try and make that save that I probably couldn't have helped a lot with anyway. This went straight in, didn't it? Yep. Directly on target. And they just didn't hit it. Okay. Amp asks, so AJ, hype for ranked drop shot? Oh yeah. You better fucking believe it. Okay, juked one of them. Couldn't quite get the second one. I'm hyped for ranked drop shot and ranked hoops, and to a lesser extent ranked snow day. Snow day's always been my least favorite of the seasonal modes, but I bet it's gonna be fun anyway. People are talking about aesthetic rebrands. It's like I've been thinking about a rebrand for a while now, but I think I don't know, I think Tyrone Sama's probably here to stay. And then when I have to explain to event organizers that I'm signing up as Tyrone Sama, maybe we'll just go with Tyron instead. It's me, I think. It's just what it is. Amp says, well, Snow Day was their first seasonal game mode, to be fair. What is happening? I don't understand. What the fuck is this? Everyone is just randomly whiffing on kickoff. Is there a joke that I'm not aware of? Is there some kind of hot new meme? Fortnite dance. Bongo cat. Well, it was remotely on target. Too little too late, of course, but hey, at least we only lost by one. Gecko says, nah man, just say you're like Hanzo Gonzo, and you're actually a 6'4" black man that sends a tiny goblin in a hat to compete for him. Alright. Can I do a fucking trade-in yet, please? Oh, but I want to keep some of these. The rainbow flag in particular is destined for phrase inventory, I think. That's just where it ought to go. Alright, now I get to fucking piss off everybody by sending a notification like 15 minutes after starting the stream. Because, you know, that's a good strategy, is to just upset people. Amp says, we're the cockhat when you compete in events or you're a hetero. God, the hat is such a fucking dog whistle. It makes me... I legitimately feel like it... People are gonna think I'm a fucking Channer or something, but I think that's a price I may just have to pay. Yo, Wes, I'm getting on path. I am arriving.
You're arriving in Path of Exile?
Pretty much. So where are you at?
I am in... Just a moment here. I'm in... Act 7. I've done Maligara's map. I'm headed to... I'm headed to slay the spider god. Arcali. Arcali, right?
Yeah.
And... I'm still not sure about this character.
Yeah, West is playing Vigilant Strike, and I like the look of it so far, but he's got some issues about scaling it.
Well, the stun is really, really difficult to obtain. Like, to give you some kind of, I guess, relative comparison to this, I'm having trouble stunning some of the beefier rare mobs here, and I'm using a 6-link and I've got a fairly decent leveling weapon, so...
If you're having any problems in that sort of a setup, then it's usually indicative of dark times ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering about, because in order to keep Vigilant Strike going, you've got obviously to stun on every hit, because otherwise you're not getting an endurance charge on every hit.
Which means you can't swing again.
And yeah, the Vigilant Strike drawback is obviously you have to spend an endurance charge to
bypass the cooldown, yeah.
Yep. So that's an issue. And but I am turning through the content. I'm chugging along at a pretty good clip, and I'm wondering if that's just like, I think I've probably just gotten better at leveling as a whole. I seem to make it to, and Delve just in general. I think almost all of the recent changes, especially the quality of life melee stuff, has been geared towards making stuff like this much smoother.
Yeah, for sure.
So I generally make it to Blood Aqueducts in anywhere between 4.5 to 6 hours off of a new character these days.
Jin is asking me, how many of your recent characters have just been about running into stuff and it dying near instantly? And the answer to that is every character that I've ever made has been about this. It's just that some of them are better characters than others.
Sometimes the premise fails.
Yeah. Sometimes. I feel like the next character I've got to do in this vein has got to be like a pure static strike additional effect attacker. Like you just politely tap something and then just run through packs with like static strike increased duration.
I think one of the problems that I'm running into a lot recently is that the boss content and the endgame stuff is just a little bit more ubiquitous than I'm comfortable with. In that there are a couple of patchwork solutions to stuff like boss damage. On this character, I think what it's going to come down to is I'm going to be able to use Vigilant Strike to clear maps. And when I want to do bosses, I'm going to have to run something like an Ancestral Protector with bleed or something like that, and use Bloodlust on a single target Vigilant Strike setup. So, like having an entirely separate setup, because it's really not hard. I think the problem is just not hard to get back there. Like you can clear out maps pretty easily on a 4-link. All the way up to red maps, even if you are really intelligent about the way in which you're supporting your skills. It's just not hard with a decent set of gear and a good 4-link.
Yeah, but sometimes you do need a specialized single target setup. Like, characters can't be generalist to that extent, as the demands for being able to kill bosses get larger and larger in comparison to the rest of the game.
I actually think that it's like you said sometimes, and the thing that's that I'm currently struggling against, right, is that I think it's actually all the time, and I think the answer as a player, the answer to those obstacles is very nearly always the same answer. It's run Vol Ancestral War Chief. It's run Vol BV. It's run a Hungry Loop single target. Run Barrage. Run Vol Double Strike. And I'm sitting here going, it can't possibly be like. Can't be just that on every character. I want some alternative solutions to killing bosses.
Chris says, AJ, you sound fine. West volume is fluctuating in and out as he talks. Yeah, I'm trying to noise gate him, because if I don't noise gate him, then what happens is that I get a little bit of my own voice back in the room mic. And that causes the hallway effect that you guys were talking about earlier. And I'm thinking... The other way
do we want to see if
that's a shitty solution, so we don't do it yet.
Well, I'm not going to put it on the couch, but if I just pull it a little bit closer, does my volume, and speak up just a little bit, does my volume pan out to be significantly better, guys?
Because it's mostly... The reason your volume is fluctuating is because I'm trying to gate you. If I leave you as is, then it's fine, but... Let me take another look at how much
what is the hallway effect?
It's get a very, very small comparatively distance between these microphones, and my voice is being picked up by both of them, so it's that super, super like short delay kind of reflection echo effect.
Oh yeah, okay. It's like pretend reverb.
Chris says now West sounds more consistent there. Yeah, it's because I took off his fucking dynamics.
Gotcha.
But I think I can now take down your gain a little bit, so if you keep speaking...
If I keep speaking, you mean talking about Path of Exile? Thinking out loud like some kind of monologuing lunatic? Actually taking down Groost here pretty easily. I'm finding that right now, for bosses, I actually just have to constantly endurance... I have to constantly endure and cry. And it's really irritating. It's something I definitely don't want to do in the long term.
Right.
So I'm trying to find a way around the shortcomings of Vigilant Strike. Like it's just so difficult to stun bosses. The boss HP pool is
Bosses have a lot of fucking health.
They have so much health. And Vigilant Strike is a stunning Vigilant Strike is just an awesome ability, but it's really only most awesome, right? If you can crit with it, because that's one of the huge advantages of Vigilant Strike.
Should be better.
Is that it's got perfect accuracy.
Yeah, it's just
hits can't be evaded, so you want to scale crit.
Yeah, because if it's just you never want to miss and you don't want to crit, then you just take RT, since if you're getting anything with regards to Fortify or Endurance charges, then you're already right in the position to grab RT, so yeah, I mean, skipping it doesn't save you anything except maybe a handful of passive points.
If you were, so for instance, when I'm thinking about this build, I'm thinking about the advantages of Vigilant Strike, something over like whatever else I might run.
By the way, guys, moment-to-moment feedback really good right now on the on Wes's audio in particular.
Cool. Stuff that I would consider in place of this is like, well, if I want to do this thing with stunning, then why wouldn't I just run Heavy Strike RT? If I don't have if I'm not getting a whole bunch of damage out of crit multi by running Vigilant Strike. So I'm looking at this and I'm pushing it forward into the future. I'm going, well, if I want to stun, I can have a much less complex build by running something like RT Heavy Strike.
Chris says this is good now. All right, that is encouraging.
Thanks. Okay, yeah, and then I wouldn't have to deal with the endurance charge cooldown.
So the question, like every single choice in Path of Exile, seems to be, what do I get from this that I can't get anywhere else?
Yeah. And Heavy Strike deals very nearly the same amount of damage. It doesn't grant you Fortify. it doesn't spend an endurance charge, and it can miss. But
it also doesn't have a cooldown that you can accidentally trigger if you run dry on charges.
Yeah, it doesn't have that cooldown. Now, some things to consider is that it's pretty easy to get Fortify elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like you
put it on your movement skill and slap an increased duration on it if you must, and you have Fortify that's long enough of a duration that it protects you from most things.
Although, one of the things I'm now playing around with the idea of is that a character like this can very easily run a movement skill like Phase Run. And Phase Run gives you a more multiplier on the attack that you trigger to leave Phase Run.
Yeah, when you're coming out, it's like, it's a 40% more, I think?
Yep, coming out of Phase Run, something like a 40% more multiplier on a melee attack.
Which is something that I've always wished that I could take advantage of on Flicker Strike, because for Clear especially, you're generating way too much Frenzy most of the time, beyond, like, potentially not getting your first charge and just standing there in the middle of a pack.
I'm actually going to check on that real quick, because I think it might actually just be a buff for a temporary amount of time. The secondary duration is...
I think when you drop Phased Run, it applies a buff that is then dispelled by the swing. I'm not sure about that, though. If it's a buff for an amount of time, that applies to all attacks made during that buff, that's pretty powerful.
Skills you use yourself. It will not apply to your melee skills used by totems. Consumes frenzy charges to increase duration. No, it actually just gives you a melee buff for the duration. It's originally a 0.2 second duration. So if you...
That's not a bad looking helmet. What the fuck is that?
So since you always hook this up to...
Yeah, Phase Run literally always hooked up to increased duration, so it affects both sides of the buff.
Yeah, so basically this secondary buff, which increases your melee damage, melee physical damage by 30%, is almost always going to be, rather than 0.2 seconds, it's almost always going to look more like 0.38 or 35 or something like that, because increased duration is going to give you, like, a good increased duration gem is going to give you some, is going to give you something like 75% increased duration. So you're looking at
yeah,
like,
because per frenzy charge it affects the base duration. You can really get it up to like stupid durations pretty quickly. Well, the primary duration at least.
Yeah, you can get the primary duration quite high. The secondary duration, I'm wondering if I can get it. Really, what I guess the
secondary duration higher than cooldown.
You want secondary duration to be higher than multi-strike length, right?
Yeah, I guess.
So if you're slinging,
the entire initial multi-strike benefits from it.
Yeah, I would think that would be the immediate. That's the immediate use case that occurs to me.
I am 1 point away from instant war cries, and then I get to strap endurance charges in this thing, see if I can find a Calm's Way for an Exalt, and then see if I can sustain Righteous Fire. What
are you doing right now? Is it just Blood Aqueducts?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm like level 68, so I'm in no hurry.
Oh yeah, I've done Blood. I did Blood Aqueducts on my Toxic Rain character up to like nearly 80.
Whelmy is doing fucking Whispering Ice and is apparently up to 1.5k intelligence.
That's not bad. Whispering Ice builds can get really absurdly high intelligence. Are they still, is the Whispering Ice tech, like the present day Whispering Ice tech, still like Cold to Fire, Ignites, Izara's Turmoil?
The tech is Castball Channeling.
Castball Channeling now, huh?
Yep. You just bypass having... Holy shit, it literally just put an acceleration shrine. It put an acceleration shrine like 3 feet from the Blood Aqueduct waypoint. I've never seen it this close before.
It's,
What the fuck is this doing here? Why is this even a valid spot for a shrine to generate?
I didn't know I could collect the fireflies out of order. I think I'm collecting the fireflies. Oh, I'm stunning this unique, which
You're
is
ready
nice.
to see some fucking fast? And now, a moment of silence.
I didn't know you could collect the fireflies prior to getting to Akali's temple there. But I'm definitely doing that.
Oh shit, I might die to my own righteous fire because I turned around for an elk.
Hey, I have a
Oh no!
I have a question for you guys that are hanging out in the stream. And my question is, if I hop into the Discord voice channel, for while people are leveling stuff, would that in any way be helpful to people? Because I wouldn't mind sitting in there sometimes if I'm playing Path, just to answer people's questions as they're leveling up.
Yeah,
I know
I did
you've
just
got-
ask, what the fuck, how do y'all level so fast? So that being the first question, I suppose.
Yeah, because I recently have just hit my stride with leveling. Like, I'm quite comfortable leveling in the new, with all the new content. And what that means is I'm leveling up to Blood Aqueducts and getting to like 80 in a day.
Not
is-
quite on that level yet, but getting better.
Yeah, it's not bad. And what I'm finding is like when I'm hanging out with the guildies leveling, they find it to be a lot easier when I'm around just to be like I was leveling with
Ooh, somebody wants to buy a 1C jewel. I will sell that to you because I have about 500 Exalts in currency that I need to make for this build to reach its final form.
I was leveling with Saki, and I think they were using a really old freezing pulse guide, because they had a tabula that they'd grabbed out of the GS, and they were fucking using LMP on their 6-link freezing pulse, right? So what I do is I just throw Saki like two first snows, which are the threshold jewel for freezing pulse, and I'm like,
And they
throw
went
them
to
like
space immediately,
yeah,
I'm
just
sure.
immediately. They're vaporizing everything, and they're like, the content is so much fun. Oh my god, this is really cool. I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
Hey, I
Like,
just got a
it's-
fucking humility set.
So
You don't have to dare me to do it because I'm already doing it.
and I have to be in a certain proximity of people if they're making mistakes like that to pick up on it.
It gave me a quality tabula. Wes, I think this is the one. Gave me an 8% tabula. Alright, I have to fucking
Hit it.
take it to
You-
20
You have to brick it.
and vol it, and it got nothing. I'm so disappointed.
Hey, it's still 20 quality, right?
It's still a 20Q tabula,
There you go.
and we have no space in the leveling. Oh my god.
Yeah, this league is going to be really atrocious
There's
about that.
so much shit in here. Oh my fucking god, what did you guys do?
This league's going to be rough because I'm playing more this league than I've ever played.
How do I even approach the amount of shit in this tab right now?
I'm trying to figure out what the absolute best stuff to have in there is. I think eventually we need like 4 or 5, or maybe 2 or 3 +1 tabulas.
Yeah, you know, no big deal. At this point,
leveling
honestly,
tab-
it really isn't.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. Not a big deal if the GS becomes cluttered because
I feel
will
like I'm-
go through it.
Doing the impossible here, trying to create enough space to fit a tabula into here. What do we have in here that's garbage? Because there's got to be something.
There you go. Figure out what's garbage. That's a good exercise for you.
I don't
I'll
know.
just go
we
through,
have
like-
3 Aberrath's horns. I don't think that's necessary.
Ditch any that aren't 3-link.
Yeah, this one, the ones that I was using last are 20Q and 3-linked. And then
so
there's
ditch
one more
the
here
third.
that's just garbage. We have a unit life sprig, I think.
What I'd like to have happen is I'd like to get a kind of tacit etiquette going on with the guild, where once you're done with the leveling equipment, you simply put it back as near to where it was as you can get.
Somebody's fucking doing Tetris. Oh no.
Because I don't really mind the clutter, but
I think I see what they're going for here, is that we're trying to move the belt, and then...
You guys working together to fit a tabula into the...
This is the most brain max shit I've ever done. Wait, are they putting more items into it? Okay, so we have space for a tabula, finally. Good lord.
It lasted you until Lionize? Are you saying the Lionize is the leveling shield, or the shield lasted you?
No, I think they're referring to Tidicus. What the fuck is this? Whatever the fucking
you can link it.
infinity block shield is. What the fuck? I actually can't link it while it's in GS.
Yeah,
Items in GS don't exist.
Gold Stash is faking gay. Oh, Tidicus span?
Yeah.
Delete that. That's worthless.
Is it that? How did it get here then?
Oh
yeah, if you're gonna put shit into the oh wow. Yeah, the price check tab is now large. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I have been going through that occasionally.
We're gonna boot up Xenon Trade and we're gonna control C every item in this tab. And if it's below level requirement 30 or evaluates as 1C or below, I'm throwing it into the void.
There is some stuff in there that's relatively useful. Like, I went through it last night.
Yeah, like Crest of Parandus, level 8 Rex shield with 78 base life. Alright.
Crest of Parandus should stay. We should have at least one 20 quality Crest of Parandus in the Guild Stash leveling tab. That is the best shield in the game to start with. Level 8, 80 life, good block, good resistances. It's got everything that you want early game. I was leveling with it when this character was intended to be one hand.
Crown of Thorns definitely falls under Unique's niche. If it even... Yeah, it's kind of a trash garbage item, like it's easy to pick one up, but I'm sure it can be useful to someone, and we're not at the point where we need to start being particularly discerning with what goes into the Unique's niche tab yet. Because at the very least, Crown of Thorns has a purpose. It's an item that can be worn by characters, and I can't directly make fun of people for doing it.
I would throw it away. And the reason I would throw it away is because it's not even good to wear at low levels. You don't wear Crown of Thorns at low levels because ES is never good at low levels. You don't start with any naturally, and you don't get any as you level up.
Right.
ES is
so
something...
even though it's 0 level requirement, that's the biggest joke in the world. But... Yeah. Pain attunement item. Memes.
Yeah, if you upgrade it with a prophecy.
Oh, Crown of Thorns is a faded version.
Yep.
Alright.
There's Crown of Thorns, and then there's the upgraded faded version that is actually worth something and has a good amount of flat ES. Crown of Thorns is completely worthless.
Alright, yeah, if it's got a faded version, it's probably worth going to space. Prism Weave, this is...
I'm trying to remember which Prism Weave is.
It's... adds a little bit of any elemental damage, then 30% increased elemental during flask effect, and 10% increased elemental all the time. And it's got like 18 res on it. I don't like it really, considering it's requirement 25. Like, I feel like you can pick up something that's just better than this by that point. Just get it off the ground since it's no life.
What is it, a body armor?
It's a belt.
Prism Weave.
Yeah, I can link it really quickly for you.
Yeah, you can. I can share thoughts about it anyway.
We have two Shiver Stings, and we definitely don't need two of them.
I've seen this. You want to keep this belt because it's really, really good for fast leveling, flat LE, damage skills.
I think
it's like best in slot at
I'm
25.
evaluating Tarn's Shiver as completely useless to almost everyone.
Tarn's Shiver is one of those that if we have an empty, yeah, we've got a niche uniques, right?
Yeah, it seems like...
Throw it in niche uniques for me. Because I'll start emptying those eventually, but Tarn's Shiver can actually, so it might be what...
Alright, so we're 0 for 3 so far, which is awesome.
It might be what Saki uses temporarily when they get to, like, you can probably throw that on right now for Freezing Pulse.
Nah.
If I remember correctly, it's actually quite good for FP as a budget item.
Innsbury Edge, I think, goes into niche uniques guaranteed. We've already gotten a Rakutiki. I think we may actually have 2.
Innsbury is super, yeah. If we've got 2 of anything, fucking throw the 3rd thing away.
Yeah, we've only got the 1, but...
If it's a 1 slot or a 2 slot item, if it's a ring, amulet, or a belt.
But look at the fucking leveling tab right now. It's so clean. I can't add a 1 slot item to it. It'll put it out of balance.
then throw that shit away, because I completely agree.
It goes to space.
There's nothing worse than having your Jenga tower look like a mess.
Okay, so we can throw out 1 Shiver Sting, because we don't need 2 Shiver Stings.
You know how there's nothing worse than not going fast? I think the runner up for that is not looking good.
Hi, Demon, by the way. I've been struggling to get a word in edgewise, but hello.
Merciless Lab spike traps are so hard to respect.
Alright, Dendrobait. Didn't we talk about this item earlier?
It's definitely one of those that ends up being a niche unique, if at all.
Yeah,
I haven't really seen...
It's really on the edge there.
I haven't really seen any real builds using it.
It's a fucking ES evasion base, which basically means that the base type of the item is bad to begin with, and then, like...
It's not that you don't see, to clarify that, it's not that you don't see any evasion ES bodies being used up in the by the top players. It's just that if you're gonna use an ES piece, it's probably not gonna be this one.
We have a Shackles of the Wretched.
That's garbage.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, is there a reason to use this with, like...
No, I've thought about it. You're thinking like the Adziri's Reflection Coward's Legacy stuff?
Not even that, really.
Oh. Yeah, you can't
You grant
use it.
4 frenzy charges to allies. What the fuck are you? This is the type of shit that we're always talking about with regards to, like, Path of Exile lateral items being...
Yeah, it's like someday somebody will find a game-breaking use for that item, maybe. And then it will get nerfed, and then everything around it will get nerfed.
We got a Doomfletch in here, which is like, you're not the faded version, so you go to shit.
Yeah, the faded version is really nice.
The stock version, there are better leveling bows, I think, for almost everyone, and I think we probably have at least one of them.
Yeah.
Alright, Prim Sorrow,
Prim Sorrow's also got a faded version, Prim Burn. Prim Sorrow, however, are actually relatively nice for their flat added.
Yeah, 5 to 15 cold and then like 30 cold res, so it's like, hey, Merveil won't kill me.
Yeah.
Remember to put on your sapphire rings before you fight Merveil, the fucking raid boss.
What is the level requirement on Prim Sorrow?
It's Rec 9, which is why I'm looking at it like, yeah, this might be nice.
That's what I was thinking. They're pretty low, so if you're gonna level Frostblades, you just throw on a Prim Sorrow and those claws that are in the GS, and you get a really nice melee leveling experience.
Ethan put his fucking Ewar's Mirages back into the leveling tab, I guess. So.
Yeah, if you're leveling Frostblades, you go those 2 claws into Ewar's Mirage, and you just wear the Prim Sorrows, and there's really nothing else to it.
The Storm Sail. This is another one of those items where they just, like, they decide to make a flavorful, unique item, and it looks something like this. Where it actually, if you look at the item, you basically realize it has no properties on it.
So the Wheel of Storm Sail, right? The reason I kept that when he put it into the Sort Me Please tab.
I'm so sad I'm getting rid of this fucking thing for 10 chaos after like a year. The fucking 6-link one-hander that I showed you earlier.
6-link one-hander.
Yeah, I'm gonna link it before I part with it forever. I'm glad
yeah.
somebody found a purpose for this thing.
How much?
10C. After dropping it 100,000 times, I've left it at 10C for a week, and it's finally moved.
The Wheel of Stormsill, people use that as their MF shield. It is the best MF shield in the game.
37% rarity. This thing is also a trash garbage item, though, right? Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything, but it is the
I feel
slot.
like I guess it
If
can
somebody
go
wants
into
to
niche.
They can buy it from Potrade. I'm always torn about that.
Yeah, because it's like it's not a build maker. It's just, and I feel like this tab should kind of be reserved for interesting build maker items.
Do we count on people to, well, as a guild with a guild stash and we're organizing it, do we count on people to use Potrade, or do we cater to the newer players who are going to be uncomfortable using Potrade and keep some semi-useful stuff in there for them?
I think
that wheel doesn't really count either way, but I feel like the question still has merit.
I feel like for the leveling tab, we want to put in nothing but something that a character like anywhere between Acts 1 and 5 can replace any one of the items that they got off the ground with something in there, and it will be a better item.
If it's confusing, it can fuck off. That was my rule for last night, I think.
So we got obliteration wands.
Snake bites are worthless. You can throw them away.
Did we?
Go ahead and destroy that item.
Guidus' needle is.
People.
God, people are moving items still.
So when I say that an item is worthless, I mean it very literally, by the way. If I say an item is worthless, throw it away, it's because it will cost you 1 alteration to pick it up from some porter off of PoE trade.
After you message about 800 of them because nobody wants to leave their map for an alt. Seriously says, Potrade is trash, official website best. I feel like I've been going back and forth between both of them lately. I used to use, I forget which fucking indexer I used to use, but it shut down. It was one where you could just type queries in a really shortened form, and because I'm a way faster typist than I am, like, I'm way faster at that than I am at navigating the Potrade UI and, like, searching for mods like that.
Do you
And
want
so I
to
could literally type something like, body 80 life 60 res, and it would interpret that.
You want to come kill this spider for me?
Sure, I'll give it my best. Where is Spolder? Hello, Spolder.
I'm just trying to put on my buffs, okay? Fucking spider keeps blasting me with lasers that really do not have a strong enough visual tell.
Yeah, I feel like they could be bigger, but I don't have issues with them personally.
They could just be brighter.
Yeah.
Like the center of the beam is actually black. Look at it.
When it's happening to you, yeah, but...
Yeah, but it's also a dark violet when it's charging up.
I feel like the warning line is about as visible as anything else in this game, which is to say not terribly, but not also terribly inconsistent. Alright, so it's on fire and dead, I think.
I don't know, for something that one-shots a character that's spec nothing but life at this point, right? Mm-hmm. You need a better tell than it's almost kind of sort of visible.
Mm-hmm. Sleep Mode asks, should I play Path of Exile or just stick to Torchlight 2? Don't stop playing Torchlight 2. I like it as a game, but also totally come play Path with us. I'd say it's almost an orthogonal experience. It's like you just asked, should I play Legacy Wars or Nier Automata?
Yeah, you know...
The answer's probably Nier Automata, actually. That question is a very clear answer. Don't play Legacy Wars, please love yourself, but...
I keep hearing, in the Path of Exile community, I keep hearing people talk about... I keep hearing people say this fucking retarded shit, which is, they say, because we have to compare it to Diablo 3. Like, because you just have to. You have to make that comparison. And I think that...
before I forget, language while you're on mic, by the way. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't know we were PG.
Yeah, mixed company.
Yikes.
It's just
All right.
polite. Yeah, no problem.
So.
So
Anyway,
because we have to compare it to Diablo 3.
train of thought totally derailed. You don't have to compare Path of Exile to Diablo 3.
In fact, you really, really shouldn't. We got 2 Azimite Peaks, so we don't need 2 of these. Do we need 1 of these? It's life, 20% increased physical. I don't like it as a helmet, but it's something to wear.
What
I
is
don't know,
it?
this is the sort of thing where, like, Azimite Peak. It's the kind of helmet where, like, I'd put it on to fill the slot, but then as soon as I found a decent rare helmet, which would probably happen about 5 minutes after putting it on, I'd, like, be really tempted to just throw it on the ground.
Azimite Peak is alright for Fizz characters just starting out.
Yeah, it's like, it's something you really legitimately just wear on the coast. And so given that our leveling tab is, I feel like I might keep it out of there, but then again, we don't really, we've got a Gold Room and that's pretty, we've got a Gold Room, we've got a Fairgraves Tricorn. That's pretty much it for helmets, but then what character wants to continue wearing, Fairgraves, what is this? 90 EV, 26 Lightning, Shock Immunity. Yeah, so I guess if you're pure physical at that point, then, like if you have some sort of physical scaling, then it benefits you. Fuck it. We've got exactly space for a 2x2 item in here. Sleep Mode says, little does AJ know I'm gonna keep playing Legacy Wars because the moments where it makes me hate myself are offset by the moments where I get to make someone else hate themselves. This is why I played Elsword for 3 years, and I know you preempted that comparison, but I have to make it anyway. Like, you don't get to protect yourself from that situation. Gecko says, by the way, I started the Legacy Wars, thanks, I hate it. Snakebite seems... Yeah, it's got life, attack speed, accuracy rating per frenzy charge, chance to poison while at max frenzy charges. Immediately I think of that one fucking jewel that says nothing but -1 maximum frenzy charges. You just run 3 of them and then you have 60% chance to poison natively.
Yeah, there are actually a couple other items that do that now, and people are
Minus to
definitely
frenzy
doing
charges?
that.
More items that give minus frenzy charges?
Yep.
Huh.
There are quite a few actually now. There's Onsmite's, a sword that does a crap ton of physical damage that now, I think it gives minus frenzy charges as well. It might be minus endurance
Baited
charges.
Breath is so nice, except that nobody should be energy shield at level 22. Like, you just don't do that.
Baited Breath?
Yeah. It's
well,
the increased energy shield recharge rate is like, it's something that actually, in my experience, ends up meaning a lot early, but...
yeah, so here's the thing. You don't go energy shield outright early, which is why something like Crown of Thorns is bad, because its only global defense to speak of is...
that
ES.
measly energy shield.
Baited Breath, on the other hand, if you are a character that has some ES, like you're a Templar, and you have ES as a barrier on top of your life...
What the fuck is in these tabs?
Hybrid characters
I
aren't
get
so
the
bad to
idea,
level.
though. We have some rando Vol gems in tab 7, and then a single prophecy in tab 8. It's like somebody really wants me to start the Unbreathing Queen chain.
Yeah, we've been hanging on to a lot of prophecy uniques, and I don't think that that's necessary.
I feel like we just need a second leveling tab at this point.
We have like 3 of them in standard.
Yeah.
There's so much shit in standard. I really wish that, like,
Let me log into standard and make the point on how much shit is just in our guild stash alone in standard.
I really wish that people would take advantage of that. Like, if you just want to practice leveling up through the game, it's pretty easy to grab.
Alright, so we've got
stuff.
So if anybody wanted 6 cow signs,
Yeah, we've got a lot of...
We have some items in the video game. Got some decent looking rares. A transfer tab that's currently stacked with I don't even know.
So, what's your level of enthusiasm for running one of 3 characters that I designed for group delves for really, really deep delving? If I put that together,
That depends. How fast is it?
as fast as delve will allow us to go.
The answer is yes.
Oh,
Where do I sign up?
yeah, because we'll have to do 2 support characters and a damage dealer,
Right.
and I'll have to figure out how to arrange that in a
I
way
will
that's...
gladly cede the damage dealer to Ethan because I don't think he'll accept anything else.
No, he actually wants to run support.
Really? What archetype piqued his interest then?
He prefers playing support characters in organized team play, but
I'm gonna run exactly 1 map white on this fucking character, just to make the
Path doesn't
point.
have organized team play for the most part.
So here's my Flicker Striker in Standard that, I don't know, it does stuff. I haven't touched the character in a while. It has a Headhunter and 4,500 life, so that should give you an indicator of where I was at when I ended up finishing this character. Oh god, and this is the worst layout to show it off to. Can I at least, like, zoom out, please? Where's my fucking numpad in this thing? Hey, you stop that. Okay, here we go. Flicker Strike is a really fun skill, but I've come to realize that I actually think it's incredibly jank and stupid after playing Aberraths for so long. Like,
Do you want to come kill Duaydra?
after I continue walking through the rest of this map. Because I'm on Standard right now. So I literally don't understand how this happened, but I think that Strongbox just killed Audition. Like, in addition to crashing my fucking game, it just killed Audition, and I don't understand.
Path of Exile just reached out and bitch slapped some of your other software.
Yeah, I don't... How did this happen? I fucking hate you, you stupid piece of shit. Path of Exile, why? Alright, so can I get some, Wes, I welcome you to say some things.
I'm just looking at Heavy Strike. It's got about 10% less base damage than Vigilant Strike. It knocks enemies back on hit, but it has the advantage of having 25% reduced enemy stun threshold, which is incredibly rare and something I've been trying to build on this character as I go.
Okay, I need to take that down a little bit. Oh, goddammit, how did I have this
Just
set up?
don't need the... Well, I think maybe you'd still go Tidebringer with this. You just swap over to Heavy Strike and run reduced... sorry, you just swap over to Heavy Strike and you run RT. One of the things about this right now is that you can run... wow. Wait, that's no limit?
Okay, just for sanity's sake, I can
limited
see
to
my
2.
meters moving, but I really need somebody to tell me that they can actually hear us again. Oh god, a strongbox not only crashed Path of Exile, but reached out through the blood-brain barrier and throttled my fucking audio software.
I'm gonna check out some...
Aura says hi, we can hear. Alright, fantastic. Talk about a fucking test stream, Jesus. Can I get a West monologue to make sure that he's not volume pulsing anymore?
Looking at Champion as opposed to Slayer, because Champion has the same advantages of Vigilant Strike, right? Except that because you taunt permanently on hit, and you can't miss taunted targets, I think is the way the Ascendancy node works. So if I'm going to switch over to Heavy Strike, I'm going to see what I need to do to do that.
Alright. Chris says West is totally fine, no fluctuation, which is fantastic. What I'd like to do at some point, like, okay, so this is a weird thing, but apparently like a mute button, some kind of inline mute button for an XLR microphone costs $60 for no goddamn reason at all. And of course the microphone doesn't have a mute button. My interface has any number of mute buttons on it, but it's on my desk and not on the couch. And so I kind of want to have something that somebody on the couch can just like, they can mute themselves when they don't feel like participating and then just flick it on and like join the conversation, and we don't have to deal with noise gating someone at all. But $60. This is what we got.
$60 for button doesn't seem
The amazing shit about
practical.
like this is the paradox that I've decided that lies at the core of my entire streaming experience, is that the more equipment I have, the more equipment I need to make use of the equipment that I have. It never, ever, ever ends. So, something about there being no limit on some property associated with Vigilant Strike.
I'm wondering if I just go Champion, because the Champion Ascendancy nodes allow me also to circumvent the accuracy gating. Same way that using Vigilant Strike would, except Heavy Strike allows me to do something like... well, it allows me to get that reduced stun threshold, which is so hard to pick up elsewhere.
Right.
Let's see.
I really expected to just die to a box nova there.
I really don't think so. I think it's still best to do.
Where do I get an enduring cry? I have a fucking Path of Exile wiki search set up as a shortcut in Firefox, and that's how you know that you're in too deep. Alright, looks like... Oh yeah, wait, I'm past Act 6, so I can just go get it from Lily. This is why you do your Twilight Strand quest. So, Enduring Cry. And then I put this literally just somewhere. I don't know, I've got a 6-link chest and I'm not using it for anything. What would I use it for, really? And then I have to bind it somewhere, but more importantly, I have to macro it to something.
Yeah, Heavy Strike really doesn't restrict me in any way.
Aw.
Alright, boys, time to roll Heavy Strike, I guess.
Ugh.
Sitting here like, are you kidding me?
So yeah, Righteous Fire doesn't need to be there, so it can be Enduring Cry instead and just put Vault Righteous Fire there. I only need to cast Blood Rage once. This is gonna change later, but let's see.
How long until I switch to Glacial Hammer?
Aura says the Yan answer would probably be something like buy a breadboard and write a script to bind mute mic to a button. Okay, so here's the real funny shit, right? So this... God, this is weird. So Premiere definitely won't let me programmatically... I keep saying Premiere. Audition definitely won't let me programmatically mute a channel. But what I could do is split this so that... And get ready, right? I could split this up so that my microphone is on the left channel of what Audition is exporting, and the couch microphone is on the right channel, and then add the virtual device twice to OBS, and in OBS have something that takes only the left channel from one and pans it center, and then the other takes only the right channel from it and pans it center. And then at that point, I've unlocked the ability to use OBS key bindings to turn on or off a device. But now we have the same problem. How do I trigger an OBS hotkey from across the room? And the answer is that we use OBS WebSocket, and we get Wes a tablet, and the tablet costs $80. Oh fuck, we should have just gotten the button.
We're back to square one.
It never stops. It's never over.
Wonder. Dual sockets available. They are the two that I need.
So I just need to add send M button, send R button. It's against terms of service to use macros in Path of Exile, but if Grinding Gear thinks I'm gonna respect that, fuck that. I have RSI. Use can go fuck yourself. Wow, the Enduring Cry cooldown is really, really not very long.
Yeah. What is it base? Like 3 seconds or something? 4?
It's like... I don't even... Yeah, it's like 3 and a third seconds. Probably 4 seconds base, and then like I've got some particular amount of Warcry cooldown reduction from that Warcry wheel. So
is Weight of the Empire one of those that you can't get from your...
Wait, actually, oh my god, we got a Chromebook over there. I can use a fucking web interface for OBS WebSocket. Oh, fuck. Fuck!
AJ Martinez is the over-implementation king.
Okay, and the upside of this, right, the really cool part about this is that if Wes were to hit the wrong button on the web interface, then he would be able to change my scene or mute the other microphone, and I wouldn't know this has happened.
It would be awesome.
So what I would have to do is then write a style sheet that wraps the entire web interface for OBS WebSocket that removes all of the buttons except the button that mutes and unmutes the second copy of the virtual cable routed to one channel of my interface. This is dumb. But it's possible, which means I'm probably gonna do it tomorrow.
Telling me that Weight of the Empire is one of the few threshold jewels that I just don't have access to. Oh, okay. Time to hit trade on this one, I guess.
Daka Fashanti contributes the best line of the night, which is 1.5k intelligence.
Rats. I think every... Like, I honestly think too many players are struggling in, like, yellowish maps to be worried about doing anything except for having a fucking blast in Path of Exile. Like, if you're not having fun, if you don't think your character concept is cool...
Just do something else.
Yeah.
Do it.
If something appeals to you...
Literally just play what you like. My advice is the same in every single fucking game on the entire planet. Play what you want to play. You can have a lot of different reasons for wanting to do something, but in the end you have to do what you want to do instinctually. Nothing else will ever make you happy.
You're looking at me.
That's just the nature of it.
You're looking at me with meaning. It makes me uncomfortable.
Sleep Mode says, anyway, sorry to be shitting up the chat with Legacy Wars theory fighting. No, don't worry about it. I've been following it, and while I don't really have a lot to say at the moment, I always appreciate your thoughts on Legacy Wars in the same way that I appreciate everyone who puts up with me occasionally reminiscing about it, all sort of like a former college football star knocking trophies off his fucking walls in a drunken rage. That's kind of the nature of it. Sleep Mode asks, how easy is it to fuck up a build in Path of Exile? That question is phrased in the wrong way, which I think should give you an indicator of what the answer is. The question should have been, how easy is it to not fuck up a build in Path of Exile? Because fucking up a build is kind of the default.
So I think, unfortunately, players who are new to Path of Exile, who are also resourceful, are going to run into a problem, and that problem is that the way that the game is presented online, if you were to look up something like, you know, Delve builds or whatever, or you're to look up like the new league and then like good build, what you're gonna find is a bunch of videos of some really well-defined meta characters doing stuff like Guardians and Shaper, and you're not gonna realize that Guardian and Shaper are content that it's very difficult to do.
It's something like
outside of those
0.1% of the player base even like has a Guardian down.
And then Guardian and Shaper, the game itself actually takes time to set up Guardian and Shaper as the end game content. Guardians, Shaper, Elder as the end game content. And the problem with that is that so few people ever do them. I've cleared all the Guardians and killed Shaper once, but that's it. And that's just once to say that I did it.
The real end game in Path of Exile is taking a fucked up concept and doing, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. The real end game in Path of Exile is doing absolutely whatever the fuck you want to do. Not to say that the game is without goals, because it has a lot of them. It's just that characters are specialized in this game, and building a character that does everything is sort of a massive undertaking, and building a character that does everything well is impossible. Is that too strong of a statement? I think it's the strongest version of that I feel comfortable committing.
Well, so the problem, like, generally that people run into is they want to do everything, and there are a couple of builds that can manage that, but only a couple. And then what people run up against is they'll make a build that they rather enjoy, and they compare it to the few builds that can do absolutely everything and do it all well, and then they think that they have somehow fallen short of making a good character, and that's just not true.
Wow, we got really off topic. The common wisdom goes something along the lines of use a guide for your first character if you don't feel like bricking them. I buy that to an extent, but I think if you have the patience for taking the game slow and maybe not being afraid to reroll like once, and if you've got resources like our little guild here that has slowly been taking shape, I think it totally makes sense to approach the game from I want to use X skill or X unique item or take advantage of X interaction, and just building your first character around that. And it may turn out that you want to do something different when figuring out the particulars of it work, but I think it's a better experience overall, for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually, I run into a problem a lot of the time where I try to avoid being prescriptive because I don't want to tell people what to do. And that's really not helpful when I'm in a position of authority with experience. So, like, if you want to get into Path of Exile and have a good time, follow some build guides and do some content. You will have a good time. Don't try to do it all yourself and become a master of the game systems like I did. I'm an idiot. before you...
So let me tell you a story about West, right? And I have to tell this story instead of West telling the story because my interpretation of the story, I think, is probably a transformative piece of it. So the way West tells the story, to make a short story slightly shorter, is that West went into a room, locked the door, dumped his entire Yu-Gi-Oh card collection on the floor, pulled out a binder with every single page of the entire Yu-Gi-Oh rules text in a fucking just 3-hole punch binder, and then came out of that room 72 hours later, went to a tournament with his deck, and was told by a maximum rank judge that the English language did not support the rules text explaining why that deck was illegal.
Yeah, they on the fly told me that, like, the only judge with, essentially the only judge with enough authority to do so happened to be at this regional. And we'd gone 3-0 by the time that they caught us out, I guess, with this deck. And they on the fly made a ruling that invalidated our deck. And the rationale for that, as AJ said, was this judge told me, because I pulled out I'd prepared for this, so I printed out the sections of the rule page.
This is my favorite part of the whole story.
Yeah, I printed out I'd prepared myself, so I pull out my fucking print of the entire rule set, that the part that references what my deck's dealing with, and I show it to the judge and I say, but look, and the judge looks at me and says, well, sometimes the English language just doesn't support the rules the way that we want it to. And I look at him with my mouth agape and just sort of fold my hands into my lap, because I don't know what else to do at this point. And I've never heard of anything being invalidated on the fly like this in a tournament setting. And so Daryl and I just have to, like, give up. We beat the last tournament champion, by the way. In those 3 games that we'd won, with the guy who won the last regional there, we beat him. We beat everybody on, like, turn 1. It made me really, really sad. But yeah, that's the kind of person I am. I like to
And the reason I bring up this story is that Wes, now that you know what type of person Wes is, Wes really likes Path of Exile.
Oh yeah, I like the head-ass complexity of Path. Like, I really do. It's very enjoyable.
It's very much that kind of game where once you have access to all the information, you have a lot of fucking power, but it's a lot of information to parse at once, and the game kind of gives it to you in the wrong order sometimes. Which is why having outside resources is kind of a big fucking deal when it comes to making headway. So, you don't want to engage with the game that way up front, because the game will dumpster on you. It will dumpster on you repeatedly. You will get very frustrated. As we all know.
I mean, the name of our guild is More versus Increased, and there's a reason that we named it More versus Increased. I don't know, AJ, do you want to deal with this?
So the reason that I bring up More versus Increased is that the difference between a More modifier versus an Increased modifier is possibly the most important thing in the game when evaluating support gems, passive tree nodes, and ascendancy traits, when determining how powerful these are relative to other things of the same class. And the fact that there is a difference between these things, when most people will read them as the exact same thing and not even notice that a different word is being used, is the primary reason that I think Path of Exile is actually horrible.
Path of Exile is probably the most pedantic game I've ever played.
Once you have a handle on it, and it's really not that tough to get a handle on it, it fades into the background. But as a new player adrift in the world, like everyone in this living situation was at one point, it is the iron wall. A More multiplier is always multiplicative. An Increased multiplier is additive with modifiers of the same type. So if you have 20% increased physical damage and then 30% increased physical damage, that is 50% more. That is, the damage that you are dealing is now 50% higher.
Actually, just to make one small note with
Here we
regards to
go.
that. Almost all increased damage is additive, period. There are very few exceptions to that rule, and they go something like, if a modifier says that a target takes increased damage,
Yeah, it's
then that's what happens on the defender's side of the equation.
right. So when I say increased modifiers of the same type, increased physical damage with claws is not a different type than increased physical damage. It's
not
still
even
modifying physical damage. It's just an increased modifier to physical damage that is only active while you're wearing claws. It's not a different type.
Yeah, it's not even a different type from increased fire damage, if your damage happens to be fire. Your increased physical damage with claws, if you have 100% fire conversion, is the same, it goes into the same additive pool as your increased fire damage.
Anyway, if you have a 20% more multiplier and a 30% more multiplier, then what actually happens is 1.2 times 1.3, which means you get 56% more damage than you would normally be dealing. And most characters have large sources of increased damage, but very few sources of more. So the ability to get an additional more multiplier somewhere in your shit is almost always extremely valuable, and sometimes several times more valuable than an increased modifier of the same magnitude. And the in-game help panel covers this, but the in-game help panel also didn't exist for the first 4 years of the game, and
Understanding
it's buried somewhere in there.
understanding which sources of damage. I mean, to phrase it, I feel like this phrases it simply, and AJ can correct me if I'm being confusing here. But understanding which sources of damage are multiplicative is really what it's about with regards to scaling your damage. Things like critical strike multiplier are multiplicative. It's multiplicative with everything else. So like, if you strap your main if you strap your main skill up to 5 support gems that are all more multipliers, and then you have 300% critical strike multiplier and you're critting a lot, then you've got so many multipliers that your damage is going to be great at that point. Everything in that is multiplicative. But if you have no more multipliers anywhere, if you have nothing multiplicative and all you've got is increased damage from the tree and it's all additive together, then what you've done is essentially you might be able to multiply your damage by 10, but that's not going to look like anything. People are doing like 3 million damage. So if you do out your build on Path of Building and it looks like, you've got like 20 to 50,000 damage and you're going, yeah, that's a big number. It's like, well, okay, but let's multiply it by 3 by 3 by 3.
Let's put just a more multiplier here and a more multiplier there, and suddenly you're doing 600k shaper DPS and everything's lighting on fire.
And that's really the complexity
This is so
there.
much more specific than it needs to be for somebody who is actually new to the game, and it's 95% me complaining about how Path of Exile could be more approachable but isn't sometimes.
Yeah,
Bear with me.
exactly. Well, the complexity there comes from 2 places. It comes from the fact that Path of Exile is kind of a pedantic game. Right, the wording and the phraseology that they choose to go with is always confusing. It's always confusing. It's like more versus increased, less versus reduced,
Local versus
unaffected.
global modifiers and learning how to identify those.
You have an item, you're wearing an item that says that you're unaffected by curses, and that is somehow distinct from being immune to curses.
And also, enemies being immune to curses is different from enemies being hexproof.
So,
I still say hexproof is one of the ugliest fucking keywords they ever introduced.
yeah,
It literally just exists because they got really tired of Cosprey's will being in the game.
it's very much a nightmare.
Daryl knows it's because of Cosprey's will too.
Osprey's will penetrate hexproof?
Yes,
Okay.
but it will not penetrate versus enemies that are immune to curses,
Yeah.
which is different than hexproof. And oh my god, I'm drowning.
Yeah, it's very, very, Path of Exile is very, very pedantic. And that's one of the reasons why, even if you're somebody like me that wants to go in and you're like, oh my goodness, this is so much fun, look at all these Legos, prepare yourself. And if you actually are in it for the game experience as well, you want to be following a guide as you're figuring things out, because otherwise the game is just gonna spank you. It's gonna turn you around. Yep, it's just not a good experience to go in blind.
Yeah, because I want to say that the game gives you opportunities to fix misevaluations early in your character's life, but it will not let you turn a character into something else. And so for people who are already progressing slowly, it can be frustrating.
Wait, Sub-Zero.
I can't say the word frustrating without somebody in my vicinity saying Sub-Zero now. Even fucking Frey picked up on it. He's making a programming language that's designed to be difficult to work with on purpose, right? And it's fucking... This is just a thing. And the name of the language is Sub-Zero. Because it's frustrating.
Playing Sub-Zero. Yep, it's frustrating, man. I'm getting no respect for winning.
Getting blown up for every loss. And that's the Path of Exile experience without a guide, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you get frustrated for building, and you get blown up for every character. It's pretty bad. And that's not to turn anybody off of Path. I think AJ's with me on this one. Path is a great game.
Sleep Mode is sitting here thinking, I've made a terrible mistake.
It's just... there's an entry barrier.
See, I guess the TLDR of all of this is...
Oh, I can stun Uniques to death.
Unless you're totally committed, unless you like see something that you really want to build, it's fine to go in with a guide. Don't expect the guide to protect you from the full brunt of the systems. But...
Oh yeah, unless that guide is very, very comprehensive. I guess this is a good note to hit on. Unless you have found a guide that is going to make your decisions for you from level 1 to level 99. And most people don't want that kind of a guide anyway, but unless that's the sort of guide you've found, prepare to immerse yourself in the systems, whether
whenever you're not sure about anything, and even when you think you are sure about something,
yeah,
just ask.
Yep. The number of times, Path of Exile, more than any other game that I've ever played, the number of times where I'm absolutely sure that an interaction is going to pan out the way that I think that it does, and then it turns out to be completely the opposite of that, and all it really is a minor misinterpretation
just last week, he figured out the difference between unaffected by curses and immune to curses. And then like 3 days before that, Ethan, for the first time, figured out how damage conversion works, which is that if damage has ever been a type of if damage has ever been of a certain type, then it is affected by modifiers of that type, even if it does not come out of the end of the conversion being of that type.
The way that extra damage interacts with the conversion system is still, in my opinion, a huge mistake.
Oh, amp name change. There we go. Silent amp. There we go. It was weird going from amp to burb, and now it's going to be weird for me going from burb back to amp, but I think it was inconsistent on burb anyway, so hopefully I don't fucking use the wrong name 100 times. Welcome back.
I think I'm just gonna splurge about 20 chaos and pick myself up a 5-link Tidebringer and see how good this character can be with a 5-link Tidebringer with Heavy Strike.
Just to evaluate?
Yeah, just to evaluate it. Just to see what's up. My played time on here is closer to what it should be. I did leave it on for about 2 hours there, so it says 8 hours, 7 minutes. But you sub about 2 hours of completely dead air. And I'm sitting at about 6 hours, 7 minutes, and I am just about to Blood Aqueducts.
What have I done on this character? I Slash played 11 hours in this character and I'm level 71.
Yeah.
So I'm slower, but getting faster.
Well, it's really...
And also there's probably like a solid hour and a half of dead air on this character, so...
Yeah, I mean, you always accumulate some of that. I tend more often than other people to just leave my
Wes has like 4,000 hours logged in Steam on Path of Exile, and I guarantee you 75% of it is him just at his hideout with his computer, like, at least 15 feet away from his physical body.
Yeah. Yeah, the the leveling process gets enormously faster as you learn to as you learn your way around the systems, because learning your way around the systems gives you the ability to like make small changes to your character to fix problems that you're running into. If you start to run into mobs that can kill you, or you start to run into mobs that you can't kill, which is really the two flavors of problem
Yeah.
the game presents you with.
A brief primer, I guess. So regarding like just arriving at what the hell should I play in the first place, even if I'm going to use a guide. So mechanically on a super basic level, and if you're familiar with the game, I apologize, Resident Sleeper, etc. But you have your skills are items that are slotted into equipment in one of 3 different colored sockets, and sockets that are linked together, like this 4-link set here. You can link support gems to active skill gems to modify those in some way, and because of that, typically you're going to get a character that's defined by the 1 or 2 skills they use with the most links in them, which is going to be 6 links at max for either a 2-handed weapon or a body armor. And so if you want to like, if you're thinking, okay, so what do I even start looking for when deciding what character I want to play? Just go through the list of active skills in the game and pick one that you like. That's my personal recommendation. Is find a skill that you like the look or feel or general mechanics of, and then pick a guide that makes it work in a way that seems credible.
Saki is just tearing through all of the game content right now as Freezing Pulse. This Freezing Pulse is one of the easiest things. You just get...
Sleep Mode says, oh, it's the FF7 materia system. Yeah, it's the materia system after rehab and bath salts. I mean, I can just do this and show you the skill tree, and most people quit right here. But
okay, so
that's really not the important bit.
I can permanently stun all bosses now.
Nice. With the 5-link Tidebreaker?
No, just with the Heavy Strike changes.
Huh.
Like, I'm just using Heavy Strike now. I stun everything. I spec'd my Mace node, and I'm using Heavy Strike, and I stunned the Sun boss to death. With my
the Solaris Guard?
Yeah. And that's with Ancestral Call and Melee Splash linked up.
So Sleep Mode says, my game plan for PoE after I download it is look around for archetypes, get a guide, and ask a whole bunch of questions in the guild. Exactly. You have got the perfect idea.
The fact that, so, I don't know how many people in chat are in game right now, but there is a threshold jewel for Heavy Strike called Weight of the Empire, and this is
9%
really good.
increased global physical damage with at least 40 strength and radius. If you strike, has a 20% chance to deal double damage. Yeah, I spec'd one out of my way to put one of these on my standard Flicker Striker because it needed single target at one point, and I don't think it does anymore unless I'm doing Guardians attempts, but
Well,
very, very funny.
What this ends up meaning for my character, the way that things seem to be shaping up, is that since it turns out to basically just be better to run Heavy Strike RT than to run Vigilant Strike.
Because of how much of a pain in the ass it is to get crit on the side of the tree where you're starting to begin with.
Yeah, I basically can't get crit. These jewels compensate by giving me crit where I didn't have it before.
Well, crit in air quotes.
Double damage is cool because it would stack with crit if I had crit.
Oh, they're limit 2. That's important.
Yeah,
There
so
you go.
I'm getting 40%. I have 2 of them right
See,
now.
I learned shit out. My most powerful character is running one of these, and I thought it was limit 1. You literally learn something at... Wow, Exile's on the ground.
Reps, dude.
Fucking stashing this immediately so I don't get rollbacked.
What was it, an Exile?
Yep.
Nice.
So I've actually got 3x pure plus 140c and like 136 fuse, 671 jewelers.
Nice.
I kind of just want to get a Calm's Heart. I don't think it's my best up right now, but something about it would be extremely liberating.
It makes leveling a lot easier.
I mean, I'm definitely in Blood Aqueduct, so, like, we've arrived. me see here. PoE.trade. Let's only compare a couple of the uniques that I might want. Counts.
Daryl.
Heart.
I stunned the Solaris boss to death.
So Counts Heart is 265C, which means it's like...
Yeah, this mic is on, so...
265C is like 2.5 Exalts, right?
105 C2X right now?
Is it 105? Jesus.
I think it is. It was yesterday. It's been fluctuating up and down.
Let me see. PoE.trade. Chaos inflation is so strong right now because of the amount of raw currency that drops in Delph.
Vigilance strike.
Heavy strike now.
What do you want, Exalts? What do you have? Chaos?
I realized, like, there is effectively
Wow,
no
yeah, it's
advantage
105.
to going Vigilant Strike over, like, Heavy Strike.
Oh, yeah, another
Heavy
fun-
Strike RT with the DD threshold.
Another fun fact about Path of Exile for those who are completely new is that it has no like universal currency. It doesn't have gold or anything like that. Instead, every currency item is it's sort of a barter system with two main standardized currencies, but every item that feeds into the currency system is basically something that can be used to modify or craft items. It's got a very sort of like clean puzzle piece kind of feel to it.
So what I ended up, this happens with a lot of builds, right? As you get stuck on something, and like I got stuck on a combination with this build, and I had to kind of change my outlook on it. So what I was thinking, what was really appealing to me about Vigilant Strike was not Vigilant Strike itself, was actually a stun with Tidebreaker. And looking at it as though I had to put Vigilant Strike together with Tidebreaker to get the most use out of Tidebreaker because of the endurance charge on melee stun was actually causing me to make a less effective character. So when I looked at it, took a good objective look into the skill, took a deep breath and stepped back, realized, well, you know what? It's actually just more synergetic outright if I run Heavy Strike. Basically, I have to change nothing else about the build.
Just the skill gem, the primary one.
How much of a dumbass am I if I run Poacher's Mark on this? I'm sitting here like frenzy
probably
charges, phase run? Because I don't think I'm looking at this
Probably
more and more
shouldn't.
thinking that phase run isn't my end game and that I just run a quartz flask and take the L. But
You probably do.
yeah,
That's probably the answer, if only because Aberrath gets shot in the foot when you're running over 160, right?
yeah. I actually,
can
on my old
stun this guy to
Aberraths,
death.
and I mean the most recent Aberrath's not the super old one.
Look at
Wow, yeah, he's actually stunning the shit out of that guy. It's free, doesn't even get to swing.
this. Yep. Pretty good.
Yeah, the bathhouse boss,
Yeah, I don't know his name, the shield charging guy. That's how I know him.
the charging asshole. I think kind of aesthetically cool part about basically everything from Act 6 onward is that pretty much every boss you kill in the game from that point on, you see their name on like 20 unique items.
Yeah.
It's like, how many times have we killed Chevron by now?
So I just one-shot all white packs now, and I stun bosses to death just from switching to Heavy Strike, essentially.
Dude, the Chevron rematch has the most powerful bit of boss dialogue in the game too. When she does the fucking Dominus Slam, the actual words out of her fucking mouth are, "Why are you so ugly?" It is the most powerful fucking boss one-liner on the planet.
Why are you so ugly? Dunked.
The mental damage you take from that.
Did I get the waypoint? Okay, I did. Sitting here like, actually, you know what? I don't want to do the High Gardens boss. I just don't. I'm okay with never doing that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna end up replacing... This Ember Wake seems so nice. What jewelry do you have me in at endgame and like theory?
If I remember correctly, I just used placeholders.
That
I always
seems
do.
likely. There's definitely a fucking 8-link 300 Exalt helm on this build.
Well, it's not actually. It's pretty cheap.
No, yeah, it's 6-link with increased burning and area.
Yeah.
And max life because we're being generous.
No, that helmet you
Yeah,
can.
this really doesn't seem like it'd be that hard to craft at this point.
You can literally buy one with the necessary properties for 5 chaos.
What?
Like, you need it to have burning damage,
Burning damage and conk effect.
conk effect.
Alright, let's see. Type Helm. Because I'm wondering here, I'm trying to decide here if I can set up Righteous Fire. If I just swap, if I swap Phase Run for a Quartz and get a Calmsway. Because I think Calmsway plus like 1 or 2 more endurance charges is going to give me something like 2% life regen from the ring, plus like the 0.2% life regen from that 1 point past the endurance charge and Marauder. So another like 1%. And at that point, plus I gain the 4% Blood Rage degen back.
You might totally be able to start up your RF adventures. It's not going to be easy to run RF on that character. It's definitely doable, but what you really want to do is to get the Watcher's Eye.
That Watcher's Eye is like 5x. Ugh. It's the Vitality Watcher's Eye, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The good thing about the Watcher's Eyes is they usually don't go down in price.
Yeah, it's never a throwaway investment.
Alright, so we want Leech while affected by Vitality, and life recovery rate while affected by Vitality.
Yes.
And a Watcher's Eye with this is 30 exalts.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, it really isn't bad for that kind of a jewel, honestly. That's the worst part about it.
Hardest part about that is actually getting the jewel socket.
Alright. Alright, so that's reach for me for now. Zoph's Blood, I bet, is still 10 exalts. So. I could have a window for...
I haven't encountered a boss yet that I didn't just stun to death with this.
Yeah, Zoph's Blood is 10x still.
I'm totally gonna make a guide about how you just level Heavy Strike Hammer now.
Dying Sun is 275C, and I don't need it yet. Doesn't even help me yet. Red Nightmare? Red Nightmare's 4x, which I can get?
What you want to get first is you want to spec all the regen on your tree. Get a Calmsway or 2.
Yeah.
Run a Vitality
The
Aura.
Calmsway is what I think I'm gonna be getting first.
And then you'll probably be able to sustain Righteous Fire with a Ruby up. Which
Yeah,
ought to be
I've
enough.
got a complete Rando Coral ring on here. You just gave me a... This is the ring that I've got. Up top, plus 30 to maximum life. Explicit, plus 79 to maximum life. End of item.
Yeah, I just put a couple of T1 life rolls on your stuff. Make sure you could get a good amount of life.
Alright, so 190 chaos for this Calmsway, so I need to convert 1 exalt. This guy's name is Blade Vortex. That's good. They're also not online. Wait, shit, this is the opposite of what I want to do. Fuck! I have it backwards. I want chaos for an exalt. Please don't be here.
Send them a message, JK.
I'd like to buy your 106 chaos for my 1 exalted. Nope. Not happening. Alright, how about 105? From this guy. Aura says, I was looking at Righteous Fire and Whirlwind, and those looked really fun to build around. Righteous Fire characters are all innately shitheads, which makes me kind of drawn to them by nature. Like, Righteous Fire is just a shithead archetype. It also has some of the better looking microtransactions in the game. Please don't interpret this as shilling, but Celestial Righteous Fire looks pretty good.
Righteous Fire is wild.
Please buy my fucking Exalted.
Righteous Fire is really, really good right now. The meta way to run it seems to be to go Guardian and build... There's a lot of ways to convert mana into energy shields. So you convert your extra... I think it's like you convert your extra armor into mana and convert your extra mana into energy shield or something like that. You'd have to poke around in the Guardian Ascendancy notables for the exact details because I'm not hyper familiar with it, but... End of story, you end up with a Guardian that's burning Righteous Fire and has 19k energy shield, which, if you don't know how Righteous Fire works, it burns enemies near you for a portion of your life in damage per second. So, or your life and your ES. So, the higher your ES or maximum life, the more damage that you're dealing, and 19k is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot back when 25k was attainable.
Isn't 25k still attainable if your name is 3000 Strength Idiot build?
Is it?
I think that character goes up to like 23k? I don't know, go to Ninja and sort by max energy shield.
Alright. Let me do that in a second.
Alright, so I have 244 raw chaos. Oh my goodness, if you don't sell me this fucking Calm's Way, I am going to light on fire and explode.
So starting by maximum ES, we have Herald at 22k. Very, very close. 25k I think is a little bit outside of the scope of the game. Presently.
Yeah.
It used to be really
You'd
difficult.
have to have mirror items in every slot, I think.
Yeah. Well, you'd have to have, like, it would take an economy like standard to produce the items, but with delve modifiers. So, just a difficult thing to do. Presently.
Holy shit, I messaged this guy for 190c Calm's Way, and the dude says, I don't sell, just warn that Samuel Thompson is a scammer, offering the Calm's Way next listed.
That person is kind of a hero.
I sent them back a :I because I don't know how to feel about any part of this interaction. They can interpret it as applying to them or applying to the guy that they're trying to protect me from. I'm not really concerned about it either way.
Felt that some response was necessary.
Right? Like, you can't just let that happen. Alright, so 190C isn't happening, so... I don't have 250 chaos, though. Alright, this guy's selling for 2.5 exalts. Let's do that. So half an exalt right now is what? 53 chaos? We'll give him 55 because I don't give a shit about anything.
So what happens next is that I spec Unwavering Stance, and I'm never not
Get out
allowed
of your
to
delve.
stun
This is
anything.
a 2.5x trade. So what happens next is you spec Unwavering Stance.
And then I'm never not allowed to stun anything ever again. I am always forever allowed.
Gotcha. Makes perfect sense. I follow completely.
So you've been as far even.
Alright, that's a Calm's Way for sure. Says Calm's Way right on the fucking item. There we go. I have acquired a Calm's Way.
I've never encountered a scammer. I've encountered a lot of
One
people
more.
who think that I'm trying to scam them when I'm actually just not sure about which item I'm selling.
Right.
People like abandon and leave party because they think I'm trying to scam them. I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to scam you out of one state.
closes the trade window on me for any reason, I leave.
I just
I don't have patience for that shit. I don't buy anything good.
yeah. I'm not trying to scam people out of one chaos purchases.
Yeah, this Ningamu's sign can fucking get off me. I'll leave the Ember Wake, I guess. Or... Actually, which of these do I want to lose? It's... Chance to ignite versus the double ignite shit that also makes them burn 1,000 times slower.
Like the shit
I
that's
think
super
I totally want
funny.
the Ember Wake.
The shit that is super funny to me is the like I'll put an item that's wrong into the trade window, but it's so wrong that I'm not sure how anybody interprets me as anything.
Like, how am I trying to scam you with this? I'm just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I'm just being stupid right now.
they're trying to buy a precinct map, and what I put into the trade window is like an unidentified rare body armor.
And people just walk out.
People are like, scammer, and then they leave. I'm like, how?
The other guy who wanted to fucking... The other guy who tried to message about a comms way is trying to get at me. Get out of here.
Like, I feel insulted not because they're like upset or whatever, but I feel insulted because if I wanted to try to scam somebody, I would do it way better than that.
Right.
Like,
Alright, so with only 4 endurance charges and no endurance charge, life regen per endurance charge on tree, as long as I have my health flask up, I sustain Righteous Fire. So this is encouraging.
yeah, Righteous Fire is going to be very hard to sustain on that build. Like, without the Watcher's Eye, it's going to be tough.
So maybe this is the point where I
You
hook
get a
the
second.
Warlord's Mark.
Did you do two?
I do not have 2 Counsways.
You should probably do a second Counsel and spec your endurance charge regen.
Counsways are 250 chaos, and I do not have that much chaos after spending 250 chaos.
You're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there, bub, because it's either that or it's save up for a Watcher's Eye. Like, your quality of life's going to be pretty low with Righteous Fire until you get more regen somewhere.
I mean, I'm still in Blood Aqueduct.
Yeah,
I've got time.
yeah, you can if. Are you running a Ruby?
Oh yeah, I'm not running a Ruby yet.
Well, that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, the Ruby will cut like, what, 30% of the degen?
Yeah, it's enormous.
Yeah, and then I put a Quartz on instead of... What do I have, a fucking Wise Oak? Hello? It does mean I lose the life. Yeah, Life Flask versus Ruby, that's kind of no question. Do we have a Ruby in here? We have an Alchemist's Ruby of Steadiness. You have no idea how badly I wanted to annul this item. I just got the strongest possible impulse to do it, and nothing could. Oh my god, Gecko is still organizing the guild stash. I'm afraid of the force of nature that Gecko has become.
Okay, so I need to know which guildie is Gecko.
Gecko is...
I see there.
Who are they here? Yeah, 3417
Okay.
Gecko, Stinkman.
Alright. I had to find the Gecko in their account name.
Nizaka actually got so tilted over Potrade that they set their fucking status to respond to your Potrade whispers. Welcome to the experience. You are here forever. Buy a currency tab already. I promise it's worth it. I'm still in a fucking gold rim, dude. I'm in a gold rim and a Doedre's tenure.
Yeah,
I'm just wearing garbage.
that's another thing that understanding the systems in a cursory way will allow you to get away with a lot. AJ's wearing a gold rim still in
I'm
Blood
wearing a
Aqueducts.
gold
It's carried
rim,
him
a
through the whole game.
Doedre's tenure, a fucking...
And that's because resistances are so important. They're such an important form of damage reduction that you can basically sacrifice an entire 2 or even 3 item slots just to capping out your resistances, and it's a fair trade. It's actually...
Do I have a quartz in here?
It is a good trade to make if you can make that trade. Like, use your boots, a ring, and your helmet just to cap your resistances, and you're not gonna have a bad time.
I should probably buy max quality flasks here, but What do I actually want on this thing? I have Astonishing, I have Adrenaline, I need Heat Suffix, I think? Avengers Quartz Flask of Heat. You know what, we'll call that one close enough, I think. I have no clue why I am wearing a silver, really, but it's probably doing more for me than the Wise Oak right now. And so at this point, what I probably want to hook up in the interim is like a Blasphemy Warlord's Mark.
I'm having such a bad time with that Unwavering Stance, but I need to level up before I can put a point into it.
I know where Blasphemy is, I think, but I forget where Warlord's Mark is.
Warlord's Mark? Mm-hmm. All of the curses are
no, I
Act
don't know
3.
what Blasphemy is. Fuck me.
Act 3 for all of that stuff.
Even for Blasphemy?
Yep.
Huh, fuck me then.
Let's see if I can stun the Lunaris boss
Amp
to
says
death.
I really need to buy a currency tab. Yeah, the currency tab was the one thing that I'm really sad you don't just have by default. What the fuck was I about to do? I actually literally completely forgot in the time it took me to get here. Blasphemy Warlord's Mark. I don't have the library quest. Fuck this. I'm just gonna log and go get it from Oriath. Why am I always so slow to do this?
I spend 5 minutes deliberating on whether to log and get it from Oriath. Eventually end up logging and getting it from Oriath.
Right? It's one of those things that it's really nice to have a character who's finished the main story for. Because gem restrictions during leveling can suck a dick. They are awful. I don't need Blood Rage anymore. I don't need Flame Dash really anymore. I'm actually about to Jewelers this fucking Gold Rim. And then we'll link that shit. Then I need like red blue. It's red green, idiot. Why'd you let go of shift? That'll work for now. Cause I've got Herald of Ice somewhere in this fucking thing. Yeah, get out of here. What are you doing?
Hold on, fuck that. Fuck that shit. Hold on.
So now we're in a Blasphemy Warlord's Mark. And I've got an Enduring Cry, which I probably don't need anymore, and I can spec out of the Instant War Cry bullshit. Got a Quartz Flask. Got a Ruby Flask. And for the moment, I'm just barely not sustaining like this. Yeah, I've got Phase Run somewhere in here too as well, but really not important right now. I'm sustaining fine as long as I'm hitting something, I think. Just because the Warlord's Mark leached. What is Natural Leech Cap again? Gecko asks, why are there unique flasks in both the flask tab and the unique tab? Thought it through, baby.
It's both a flask and a unique. Really what it is with something like an Aziri's Promise, it is a generally useful unique, whereas another unique flask may not be generally useful, but is still a flask.
Yeah, like almost every build that does... any build that does either physical or elemental damage can make use of an Aziri's Promise. And
Yeah,
probably
Aziri's
wants
Promise.
to if it can find the space.
33% of builds-ish. 37 actually, I think. Last
In
I
the
checked.
top, like level 94 plus.
Yeah.
Are using it.
Just a fantastic way to scale your damage.
So Righteous Fire might be a little bit suffering at the moment, but... Damn, is that life regen nice looking when I don't have it on. So I can... If I'm gonna run Warlord's Mark for now, then I can do the smart thing and probably spec out of Instant Warcries because you really don't actually want them. Genius. And then just spec life regen per endurance charge. And I've got another endurance charge nearby, right? Relatively. Do I really not want to go through here? I guess if I'm already there, the travel's better on that side, but jeez. Alright, so next level we'll grab that. In the meantime, I have additional life regen per endurance charge. I can unhook the Enduring Cry because it's a useless piece of shit and I actually don't want it anymore. Then I can slowly burn to death because I activated Righteous Fire outside of the range of any monsters. And don't have any flask charges.
Yeah, Righteous Fire requires a lot of,
That burn is way consistent though. Now I can walk over rares and actually like one-tap them. They'll always die now, I think. I'm gonna watch this guy. You're gonna burn to death, right? I mean, if you walk into the Righteous Fire, you will certainly burn to death, but that doesn't really have anything to do with me. And this is an unsupported Righteous Fire, too.
well, the damage is definitely based on your HP.
Yeah, that and the fact that I have 2.8k life. Because I'm in a Gold Rim and a Doedra's tenure. And at some point I'm gonna have to do something about that, but not while I'm in Blood Aqueduct.
It does allow you to run Immolate on your Aberraths. If you're not doing that.
I think I already am.
Because they
Yeah, I'm
count.
running Immolate.
They count as burning. Well, they are burning.
Yeah, I noticed the direct clear seems to be a noticeably better.
With Righteous Fire up?
Yep.
Yeah, it definitely should feel better.
By the way, if anyone can find this entire soundtrack in FLAC, please let me know. The one fucking, sorry, the one completely legitimate download that I was able to find is, there's a couple tracks that are missing data no one's seeding. Hey Tyrone-san, I've noticed you talk about piracy and adblock a lot on your stream. How come you aren't partnered yet?
Yeah. Why?
Wow, for a test, this actually went a lot longer than I expected it to. I mean, anyone who actually understands how I stream is really not surprised by this, but somehow I am time and time again.
I think we have a decent back and forth, and if you're going to be playing Path occasionally, might as well,
Yeah, right?
might as well do this once in a while.
Audio still good for you guys? Wes not pulsing in or out or anything, not getting any weird echo or... I mean, I could literally stream on my webcam microphone and some of you wouldn't notice, but hey, for those of you who are listening...
Hey, do you want to come kill this boss?
That sounded more bitter than I think it was intended to, and I apologize. Yeah, what boss?
The sun and moon.
I don't have a portal, so I just have to walk to the end of the Blood Aqueducts.
Leave it to me.
Alright, on the way.
Oh boy.
Hey.
Yeah, this character is glassy right now. It shouldn't be a permanent problem. I have plenty of life to spec.
That's a pretty funny fucking sun, though.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What?
I haven't encountered a boss yet that I haven't stunned.
That's extremely encouraging.
Yeah, I was just using the wrong ability, basically. See, this is one of those things where as a player, I'm pretty clear on what kind of concepts I want to build, so I'm sitting here thinking, alright, permanent stun is awesome, and then I'm like, what skill? And I go, Vigilant Strike, and I'm trying to solve my concept with a skill rather than trying to solve a skill by using the game systems, which is a much better way to approach character building in Path of Exile.
767 Facebreaker, that's decent roll. And I vaulted in the garbage. Garbage that got 91 life somehow.
Yeah, this Blood Aqueducts is going to be really cozy.
It was once a facebreaker. Now it adds 5 to 10 physical damage to attacks. Fallen from grace.
On to Humility immediately.
Good sign, always a good sign.
How many do you have, Humilities?
On hand?
You must have a whole bunch.
I mean, I turned in the stack pretty recently, but I do have 2.
Nice.
Yeah, because remember, like, just earlier, I fucking vaulted that Tabula into, a Tabula.
Oh yeah, so you had like 13 or something.
So what do I do next with this thing? Is there anything I can unspec? I've got Shaper. Okay, let's just do Life Regen and see what I don't have yet. I've got the 0.3, 0.4, 0.3 near, around the jewel socket near Shaper. There's a really bad life regeneration thing at the end of the quick recovery cluster. It's 446 life with mana regeneration and life regeneration. The endurance charge is next, obviously, but there's that 0.8 through the Marauder start. I already have Golem's Blood, which is the strongest source of it on the tree, I think. Gecko says, the corrupted tabula and leveling keeps getting me. I think I brick more tabulas than anyone I know. It really excites me. The idea of getting +1 gems on a tabula is actually so far from my mind when I do that. I actually just want to see them die. Like, I fully understand, I think, intuitively, that I will never ever make a profit from falling a tabula for as long as I live.
You might in fact understand that better than anybody ever. Like, you have a comprehensive working knowledge
Of how bad of an idea it is to vault tabulas if your goal is to increase
return on a
breadth.
tabula, you are the expert.
All
People
right.
speak to you when they want to understand this on a deeper level.
Because the breakdown, right, is that it is literally always a bad idea to do this and nothing good ever happens.
You've never seen a +1, have you?
No, never.
How many tabulas?
At least 30.
30?
Zach, I rolled a 50% damage, 50% reduced damage taken from crits on a tabula, which is a pretty nice property to have.
A really nice property to have on a tabula.
So Twill shows up after logging out of Path of Exile and says, "Oh shit, nice mice." I'm hoping that was supposed to be nice mics.
Nice mics. Do I have a camera on me?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this was, the march for better audio continues, this time with a new interface and a duplicate of the mic that I've already got, dedicated solely to couch use, and I think I've finally tuned the fucking noise gating I'm doing on Wes, so that he doesn't pulse.
Yeah, this time it's personal. Audio the sequel.
Gecko says, AJ about to corrupt a tabula into having 9 slots. I mean, +1 gems on a tabula is basically a 7th link. I think that's a fair way to characterize it. If you compare
Yeah,
it
it's
to like
like a,
Enhance and Power.
6 link plus.
6.5 link.
It's a level 2 in power.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever permanently run a level 2 in power on their 6 link, but it's not a permanent item, a +1 tabula, but it is a really good leveling piece.
Yeah.
Like for spellcasters, geez.
Oh,
my God.
I still have never sync uber strict on.
This is the funniest abyss I've ever run.
I'm the stupidest person alive. I've been running a magic find filter the entire time. I've been doing Blood Aqueduct. That might actually be the strategy I end up wanting in the end, but it's not one I deliberately chose for myself. Oh my god, wait, yeah. Even strict is showing so much garbage because it still thinks this is a leveling area. It doesn't know this is maps. Superior volatile dead.
Watching this character do abysses is hilarious. Stun everything repeatedly.
Everything just sits there and gets beat to death.
Oh yeah.
Alright, what are we doing here? I think we'll just use Carcass for Aqueduct. Because I think it's actually a little bit more permissive now that I've made modifications to it compared to Never Sync Uber Plus Strict. I think the description of Uber Plus Strict on the Never Sync filter variant breakdown is doesn't show enough. I was mapping with it earlier because I was in standard and literally just didn't want to pick up items. Yeah, I think it was hiding fucking 6 sockets. I feel really stupid.
All those jewelers. Think of all those jewelers you could have had.
Every 6 socket is basically a chaos. It's 7/8 of a chaos.
Yeah.
Because jewelers are 4-1 for fuse and fuse are 2-1 for chaos, except actually attempting to get someone who trades you for those rates on post-trade instead of like undercutting for some ridiculous fucking non-integer value
Yeah.
is completely impossible.
Like, I want you to shave off that 10th of a fucking quarter. Give it to me.
Yeah, it's because post-trade sorts by the raw ratio that you give it. People will take an item that's supposed to be 2-1 and sell it fucking 499 to 1,000 or something.
Could you give me that fraction of an ID scrap, please?
I need to stop turning on Righteous Fire before I'm actually inside the mobs.
Cut your ID scrap in half.
So I'm glad everyone's been reacting well to the audio stuff. It's... having 2 microphones actually introduces a weird amount of complication, as I'm sure is not a surprise to anyone who actually, like, does anything as an audio engineer. But, I'm a monkey with dials. And as such, this revelation shocked me to my core. What is my movement speed right now? My movement speed, with everything up, is 136. So this really isn't much below the 160 speed limit. Castlevania the fucking Adventure Rebirth, dude. Why is this soundtrack so good? Can I borrow a tab of the guild stash until the next stash tab sale? That depends. Are you trying to store something that is actually valuable in any way? And are your other tabs also occupied by things that have value? I just need space. As someone who played on 4 tabs for a very long time, you probably don't? Like, if you're going to be storing something useful, then I guess using an unlabeled tab of the guild stash is probably fine, but you shouldn't do that. Like, I don't think I have the energy to get mad at anybody that does. Maybe Wes does.
Doing what?
Just, Izaka asking if they can borrow a tab of the guild stash until the next stash tab sale. Right?
I don't know how I can stop you.
You could just take the items in them and just throw them away.
I probably will do that accidentally anyway, because the items you put in there to hold are probably items that I consider to be worthless.
Yeah, it's like having 4 tabs is actually really funny because it's fine, but you have to know how to evaluate items for it to feel in any way comfortable. And you have to have like a really good sense for it too, I think. And if you don't have any way of getting rid of stuff that is like potentially useful to sell, like if you don't have acquisition set up, apparently their readme is super outdated or something. Oh, do I not have my stone golem on? That probably helps a lot. Yeah, with the stone golem, I'm actually only degenning very, very, very slowly. Like, I can watch the individual numbers tick down. It's like a bunch of skill gems. Throw them away unless they're quality. If they are quality, probably still throw them away. Use the GCP recipe. Aura says, my neighbor is learning their limits with alcohol, so I had to make sure they didn't die getting to bed. It was pretty entertaining. Nice. This Warlord's Mark business is working out alright. I can't believe I'm still gaining XP at this rate. Like, every time I run Blood Aqueduct for a long time, I'm surprised again at how long you can actually get away with doing it. Even though I really, really shouldn't be at this point. Should probably support this Righteous Fire with anything.
Anything sounds good. I'd go with anything.
Anything does sound pretty good now.
In opposition to nothing, I'd definitely go with anything. 100%.
Probably just like... I'm taking guesses. Increased burning? That sounds good.
Increased burning does sound good.
Increased AoE? Probably alright.
Increased AoE is especially good for you because you're not really so much concerned with the burn of the Righteous Fire right now, so much as you are with the burning state.
Yeah, triggering Immolate. Or is it Immolate? Yeah. Alright, so let me go to my fucking gems tab. Let's see if I've got these. Increased area. Level 11, level 1. I have a level 19 Blasphemy, that's pretty nice. Maybe I should slot that shit in.
I rolled a Chemist Silver, but it's like 1% too few on Chemists. It's for me to get 2 uses out of it.
Alright, what am I gonna do here?
Man.
Oh, is it just like not a max roll chemist?
Yeah, so it's 31 out of 60 charges used right now.
Rip. And I guess I should probably link this into something. Can I just put the Righteous Fire here for now? Is that fine with everybody? Where is my Righteous Fire? It's a blue. And then we put Updog on it. I don't know. We put increased area of effects and like burning damage and fucking what is another blue gem that I put on this thing? It's already got increased AoE. Do I just put concentrated effect on it?
Fire penetration.
probably it.
Blue Link? It's not Fire Pen. Blue Link, you
I
need...
I can get 2 red on this thing. Fire Pen is probably the answer.
Okay.
I'm linking the fucking Doedra's tenure, by the way. So I just want to see how this works more than anything.
Wadra's Tenure?
Yep.
Is that the spell damage?
Yeah, it's the 50% spell damage gloves.
Remember that does not affect Righteous Fire.
Yeah. I'm literally just wearing it because I'm wearing it. I'm gonna go fucking Varici it for 2 red because I'm an asshole.
Nice.
So we link Righteous Fire to Ligma. I go for at least 2 red and it rolls 3 red. Fine. Be that way, you fuck. What? Come on. Am I out of chromatics? How did this happen?
This is why I spend like the first week of playing picking up rares and vendoring everything on the floor. I never ever have to worry about
because I
small
haven't done
currency.
chromatic recipe in 100 years.
Yep. I don't have to worry about small currencies ever. I've 6 linked 2 items this league with raw fusing, and I still have plenty.
How bad is the fucking vendor recipe for chromatics?
Vendor recipe? You mean the exchange?
Yeah.
It's always pretty bad, man.
Is it horrendous ass garbage?
Yes.
Well, it says buy my chromatics. Okay, sure, what rate?
1 Exile per 1 chromatic.
Sold. I would like your 1 chromatic. Currency. What are they going for right now anyway? What do you want? Chromatics. What do you have? Chaos. Looks like 13 to 1, 15 to 1. I don't know.
How many chromatics do you have, Wells? What's
Because we got 189C and no exalts now. $189C is probably enough to deck myself out in decent rares and begin my mapping career. But Blood Aqueduct is still dropping things and still leveling me up, so I can be the laziest motherfucker on the entire planet of Earth. $280-20C? Sounds good to me, dude. $100, $200, $280. Cool. TY for trade. Now I'm gonna put this Doedra's tenure back in the bench, roll at least 2 red, and get 4 red sockets. Okay, but do you know how funny it would have been if that had actually happened? You gotta option select, you gotta say shit like that just in case. Gotta get your name in that top 10 Twitch clips for Path of Exile compilation.
Varici is a capricious bastard.
I think yeah. We arrived at Bastard and I think I'm content with that. I just need a fire penetration gem, which means that I need to not be on this character. Just log out, don't think about it, just log out.
I actually started that sentence with assassin in my head, a capricious assassin, and I was like, that doesn't have any punch though.
Well, says finally some money. We're making those value trades. I actually have no idea if that rate is good for you, but if you're satisfied with it, I'm satisfied. What the fuck am I doing? I'm buying a fire penetration. Music's been a little bit lower than I usually leave it on streams like this.
To account for me.
Not really, it's just I'm getting used to the interface and I noticed it was lower but haven't bothered to tab out to change it because it's something I have to do right now. So I figure it's time to ask, what do you guys think of it? Not horribly distracting, I hope. Twelve says, didn't notice. Awesome.
2 full sack sets.
Oh my god, please. There we go.
Man, I can definitely run out Zeri on my Flame Golem character. I've just not yet felt the urge to do so. This always shift to attack option was the best quality of life
Oh
melee
yeah, for
improvement.
sure. It helps flame dash a lot too.
Yep.
But melee characters using Leap Slam or Whirling Blades is their primary mode of getting around.
Where you'll just like run around a corner before
Yeah.
leap slamming for no reason at all.
It's like, oh, Leap Slam isn't long enough for that, so I have to walk to a location where I would be able to Leap Slam to that exact location instead of just Leap Slamming in the direction.
It'll get you killed too.
Yeah, of course.
It's not even just a convenience issue. Like you walk toward a mob that can kill you, accidentally doing that instead of leaping over them. You get
So
one
now
shot.
I can spec that extra endurance charge. Endurance charges give you resistances and physical damage reduction natively, right?
Endurance charges, resistance, and phys damage reduction. Doesn't work on Blood Rage. I do think it hits.
So that, Righteous Fire is pretty fast. It's dealing decent damage at under 3k life. Maybe the Calms is the next up.
Sounds very convenient to
It
have.
will represent a lot of quality of life, but I should probably at least get like decent rares to replace the garbage leveling uniques that I'm using first.
Yeah, I mean those are only going to cost you a chaos or two.
Yeah, 5C at most to get items that'll last me until this character goes Super Saiyan.
Yep.
This is level 1 gems too, so here we go. This is before we even activate Maximum Overdrive. Turn on Vol Righteous Fire, which is fucking enormous now. Holy shit. It also doesn't last very long, but I don't feel like putting a increased duration link on my fucking on my normal Righteous Fire. So it's just gonna have to be like that for now, I guess. So I'm now level 73 and still in Blood Aqueduct. Follow your dreams, kids. And please stop activating Righteous Fire before you're actually in the mobs, idiot. Oh yeah, this is easy street now. See, because I always want to resist the urge to bolt Warlord's Mark to a character. Because it applies to almost every character in some way that'll benefit them. Like, everybody wants endurance charges for shit like fucking casting damage taken in Mortal Call. Everybody wants Leech. And especially characters that aren't quite together yet, it's really tempting to just slap Warlord's Mark on the character like, oh yeah, I need a mana engine, that'll do it.
Sometimes it's really not clean and holds the character back. You put Warlord's Mark on a character because you reserving mana you could potentially use for something else.
Something that you can only get from that place, or get the most efficiently, because Warlord's Mark...
It consumes your curse as well,
yeah.
which, now, avenues open up for characters when they consider things like Assassin's Mark for crit engine. Poacher's Mark actually is awesome as a frenzy engine. The problem with that is that Blood Rage usually takes that slot. And stuff like Vulnerability is really good. You've got the Presence Amulets now to prevent you from having to reserve extra mana that way. Actually got an Impresence, Vulnerability Impresence in the Guild Stash right now that I'm looking at for this character. I guess somebody put it in there because it's cheap. There aren't a whole lot of characters. The Despair Impresence is the one that's expensive right now.
Right, a lot of Toxic Raiders, or...
I actually don't know what's making it so expensive, other than maybe like some occultist CI stuff. I think it's occultist CI within bloom explosions is really popular right now.
Alright, so now that I'm no longer running phase run, what's my movement speed like with everything up? Only 80%? With everything up, it's 100%. So it's still comfortable to run the character, but I mean, you know the rules.
Nothing's worse. I'm definitely just heavy striking everything to death. We are almost level 65, and when we hit 65, we buy ourselves a 5-link Tidebreaker, and we have a lot of fun. We go kill Azaro in normal and cruel, and then we find out if we can permanently stun Merciless Labazaro.
Nah. If you're doing that tonight, I'll tag along.
Might be.
Although it might kill your stun threshold.
It might.
Because he'll literally just have twice the HP.
Yeah, but I am gonna have 90%. I have as much stun threshold as you can in the game.
Right.
Pretty much every single point.
So if it can be stunned, you will stun it.
Yeah, I mean, I can always get more damage. But for the most part, if it can be stunned, I stun it. Everything functionally has about 10% of its HP. With regards to my ability to stun it, and sometimes I just deal double damage. You know, half my hits.
A solid 40% of the time.
I love those jewels.
Something about it is very flavorful. There's a chance to deal double damage. That's like, that's very compelling to me in a way that crit multi isn't for some reason.
Well,
It's just so direct. It's like heavy strike in that way.
being able to use it with resolute technique is nuts in my opinion. I had completely forgotten. I took a look at heavy strike and I went, wait a second, you're telling me that the skill not only has stun threshold reduction on it, but I also get to crit while using RT?
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so for the kids at home, I don't get to crit while using RT. The threshold jewels giving me 20% chance to deal double damage does not count as a crit and does not function the same way, so I just don't want anybody misquoting me. Or...
Somebody's gonna do a fucking cost freeze Malice Heavy Striker and then blame you when it doesn't work.
Yeah, somebody's going to do the wrong thing because Wes said, no, but I didn't mean it. Didn't mean it that way. Always happens to me. Like, being able to speak about Path of Exile, and AJ and I have gone over this a few times, is just a nightmare. It's atrocious. Because of how pedantic the game is, it's basically impossible to have a real human conversation about it because you gotta stop and pivot every 3 seconds to correct yourself. But I didn't mean increased there. I actually, okay, so I said more damage, but what I meant was, well, you get it. It's additive, you know, right? No, it's... Stop it.
So what it gives you is an increased more multiplier.
So you want more increased multipliers, right? You know how wrong that statement is in the context of Path of Exile?
So you want to reduce your number of increased modifiers in order to use an increased number of more modifiers.
Yeah, so you recently increased your number of more multipliers, so now you want to reduce that so that you have less more multipliers?
Recently as a keyword is fairly clean. Yeah. It's just that, like, it appears in so many places and there's no help text for it in the game specifically. So people say recently, and people have wildly different ideas of what this means, and it's a simple thing to correct yourself on if you think to do it. Recently, by the way, is in the last 4 seconds.
Yeah, recently is the last 4 seconds, and that's not...
Oh my goodness, don't do that.
Don't do what?
Whatever you just did that caused your voice to get very loud and a very loud bang to go through the microphone.
I leaned forward and I put my coffee down on the table, so I gotta go use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Hopefully that wasn't as loud for you guys as it was loud for me, because it scared the shit out of me.
Get wrecked.
This tells me get wrecked. Azaka says, what do you mean it doesn't have help text? It's on one of the Juggernaut nodes. Yeah, just be Juggernaut. Easy. Yeah, this went considerably longer than I expected, mainly because this character has actually become quite comfortable running up and down Blood Aqueduct. Like, it just goes. That's, The mouse over texture skills does describe what keywords like recently means. For skills? Yeah, I think it does do that for skills, but I know there's some items that grant the property as well, and I don't think they have help text. I did it again. I activated Righteous Fire at moment 1 when I was using my flasks.
Okay, you may hear the earth-shattering noise of my picking up my mug now. Probably not though.
Yeah. As long as you're careful to set it down evenly, I don't think it'll cause anything. And the correct answer to that is actually probably to just put the mic stand on like a folded up paper towel or something to add a layer of something between it and the shock.
Nah, I'm actually just gonna slam my mug from orbit every single time I need to put it on the table.
I'm gonna
and we're
look
not
over
doing
and
that
Wes is
napkin.
just going to be double suplexing the entire fucking coffee table.
Yeah, and we're not doing that napkin tech. Sorry. These are the rules. The rules of Dragon Ball. The rule of Dragon Ball is that you wait, right? That's the only rule.
Twill says, Wes now has the power of the coffee gavel. Order in the court.
Order in the apartment.
So I got 6 endurance charges. I've got, does it show under the defense tab how much life regen I have? Life regeneration per second, 380. That's out of 2,800 max life. I got 82% fire resistance with this ruby up. So that means Righteous Fire is burning for roughly 18% of my maximum life per second. That extra 2% that I cut off during that back of the napkin calculation is probably very important, isn't it?
I gotta somehow...
Okay. Alright, I think it's probably time for me to like at least take a look at my gear and maybe not have shitty gear anymore. So the Martyr of Innocence, the Calm's Way, the Anvil, and Abereths are all staying for the time being. This weird chest has tri-res and life on it, but I mean, it's not the first thing on my lineup to replace for sure. We want to get rid of the Gold Rim, we want to get rid of Doedres, and we want to get rid of... Well, this build isn't terrible, but it's terrible, you know? It's like 31 life down bottom, 18 and 25 res. No.
I have a granite flask of reflexes, and I'm on a wavering stance. It's pretty good. When you just grab random stuff out of the guild stash, this is what you end up with.
It's a granite flask, it counts.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna do with this? Well, first I'm gonna click all this fucking currency into my dump tab because I'm the laziest person on the entire planet. I'm actually gonna click my Wiseoak and shit into that too.
Let's look at the fun.
This is really my tacit admission that I don't want to deal with any of that shit right now. I'm gonna buy some portal scrolls.
Let me tell you something about Leap Slam. Leap Slam Blood Rage is the best thing that has ever existed.
It's snappy, isn't it? Gonna sell some transmutes for identify scrolls so that I can always have a completely uncomfortable amount of identify scrolls.
That thing that you were saying about the essence implicit insanity on gloves, the more attack speed actually applies to Blood Rage?
To haste.
Ace, okay.
It might apply to Blood Rage as well, but haste is the one that I saw tested.
This is most disturbing.
Amp says,
That was
so I'm
the
just
ins-
curious, I'm having a drink, but both AJ and Wes, Fanta Orange or Orange Crush? This is going to be the most boring answer possible to this question, while also possibly being the most divisive, but they are the same thing.
Wow, I could one-up you. Water? That is... Can you just drink water? Is that an option where you are
Humans whom's to drink water.
on the earth? With you? I actually don't like soda to begin with, but I haven't had anything to drink other than water in like years, so...
Welcome to the No Fun Squad, by the way. Alright, so what about this helmet business? If I can really get, if I can really just get a fucking 6-link RF helmet and then gear the rest of everything else around it. Probably drop the Ember Wake because no one gives a shit about this item. Let's see. Peewee.trade. So I want socketed gems are supported by concentrated effect. And what is the other fucking property this can roll? Burning damage? And I want this on a helmet. And then we'll see what comes up for just this search. Oh. 2C item. Okay. So let's look for a life property. Let's look for minimum 60 life on it and see if this takes it to an Exalt item yet. 50C. And it has 20% increased burning and 16% increased area and adds 25 to 42 to spells. Please give me this item. Please actually be here to sell this fucking item to me.
50C. You want to post that in cooldown so I can look at it?
I mean, after I buy it.
Okay. Don't want anybody else buying it?
More that because I actually just started up the trade. Your text. Oh, I totally jumped to the wrong person. That is the helmet, right? Okay. I don't even look at items because I don't feel like it's worthwhile to scam people in this game. Like, it's just a bad way of making currency. Here's what I just got.
It really is a bad way to make currency. Supported by level 16 burning damage, monk effect. That's a good item.
It's a pretty successful helmet, I'd say.
Yeah, that's your end game helmet. You keep that on.
Yeah.
Basically,
It's
for
like
the
it's
rest.
got all the properties I fucking wanted. It was at the top of the search.
Yep. So set up whatever I threw on your path of building and
Yeah.
for a long time.
So we're gonna throw some fucking jewelers at this thing, link it.
So I wonder if I actually just spec blood magic in this build.
Alright, so what did you suggest for this? Skills? Righteous Fire, Ellie Focus, increased AoE efficacy.
Yep.
Ellie Focus
Yeah.
on Righteous Fire is the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
Why?
It should turn off the skill.
It's gross, isn't it?
For
like-
context, elemental focus prevents it from inflicting elemental ailments with hits, I think.
Yeah.
But because righteous fire doesn't hit, that's so fucking ugly. Why are you so ugly?
Yeah, it's brutal.
I probably should have jeweler's tricked this because the fucking
Yeah, you should have.
All right, I'm gonna roll exactly 1 like 2 blue on this and see if it gets it, and if not, then
You should just set it down to like 2 sockets and,
and then
do
2 blue it, and
blue
then
it. Yeah.
yeah, 2 blue it with 2 sockets, and then we do the ugliest thing in the entire game again. Come on. So the idea,
Are you already running Purity of Fire?
I am not.
I have a level 21 for you.
I don't know if I can swing the mana yet because I don't have decreased reservation yet, but drop that in transfer for me.
You bet.
Seems pretty cozy to have around.
I have a level 21 one as well, but I'm selling that.
All right, 4 blue. And timed to the drop. Let's go. Now we link this. Don't worry about the fact that I just blew like 5C infusings on linking it 5 seconds ago. And we want Ink AoE, LE Focus Efficacy, so we'll go get those in the other character. And efficacy is more spell damage, more damage over time, and increased skill effect duration. I don't think I've ever actually learned on a character, which is why I had to read it, even though I know what it does. It's just like, you really gotta stop.
What is it? Which skill?
Efficacy?
Yeah, efficacy is great for dots.
I totally did not put those in the fucking dump tab, did I? Yep, they're just still sitting in my character's inventory. The smartest human.
I've done that run around so many times where you're like, yeah, I got him, and then you log instantly. Got him, bought him. Lily got me.
It really should be a fucking vendor that you can have in your hideout. I demand everything be solved for me by the game because I am too stupid to use my stash.
Why not the new archaeologist NPC? I've heard a lot of people recommending that he take the Varici bench over because he's like a gem guy, right? Like he's a minerals guy.
I guess. So Blasphemy Warlord's Mark. And let's take this helmet for a spin. I'll put the gold rim back in the GS, which now has exactly 1 slot in the leveling tab. Somebody please fill that with something before I go crazy. Oh yeah, I should probably put my fucking microtransactions back on this character now that it's officially made it.
If you don't open that back up and there's just 1 wisdom scrap in there, I'm gonna be a little disappointed.
What do I even have? I can't vanishing die a weapon, and it makes me kind of sad that I can't do that.
You just have to run face breakers.
Sort of feel. Is the skill effect still going? Can I get a righteous fire effect? Specials. Oh no, it's the fucking wings sale. Some of those cloaks could look alright though. I'd wear a white cloak. I could dig that.
Some of the MTX is pretty good.
I would wear a white or blue cloak. I don't know if I would pay $9.50 for the privilege of oh, I don't have my auras on. I'm very stupid. What is wrong with you? Holy shit, do I ever fucking tank when I'm not leeching? Good lord. What's happening here? Is it... Oh yeah, when my ruby's not up, I fall below 75 fire.
Oh yeah, that'll kick you right in the nuts.
Yeah, I go to 57 fire since I just took the gold rim off for this helmet.
Yikes. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. I can keep the ruby up, so it's not terrible.
Time to replace
The damage is pretty
your...
funny, but yeah, time to put on something that isn't a Doedre's tenure and a random wither belt that I got off the ground.
Yep.
Just need to patch reses. Probably the, probably the Ember Wake as well. I'm going to die. Really quickly here, let me fucking import my current character into Path of Building so I can make some quick evaluations. Import automated motherfucker. Sure thing, buddy. Alright, and we're scaling Aberraths right now, and the Righteous Fire is just a bonus, so let's see.
Well, actually, your Righteous Fire ought to be doing a lot of damage
yeah, now
now.
that it's in the fucking Hell Helmet. Yeah, 121k? Alright. I use Endurance Charges.
Oh no.
I do not have Onslaught. Oh,
Stash
return my
unfucked.
flasks.
According to, the Bunga right click.
I am not on consecrated ground. Shit, I don't know how to look at calcs. Have you blocked recently? Sure.
Shanti definitely
I will have
unfucked
eventually.
our guild stash, but I'm not sure in which way.
Alright, so what's going on? Give me a tree heat map here. So suddenly every single source of increased life on the entire tree is now purple instead of blue. This is a cool thing. Just turning on show node power and Path of Building.
Yeah, Righteous Fire. Dealing that damage,
Time to
boys.
spec the entire Scion life wheel, boy! Alright, so how much is the Ember Wake doing for me? It's giving me 3.8% damage over time DPS. I don't give a fuck about you. You are the worst item to ever exist in the video game. So we need one ring, one pair of gloves, and one belt. And with it, I need to make up... Oh, sorry about that. Back of the envelope calculation is something on the order of like... probably around 150% resists. I can do that on the ring if I have to. But I really don't.
Okay.
So let's go to Potrade and have ourselves a grand old time. We're looking for... Well, first let's go to PoE Affix. And a quick refresher on what properties that I can get on a ring, just in case I can get any of them for cheap.
So you've got 2 of your labs done?
I have 1. I need Cruel and Merciless, and then Uber is like not overly useful, but still alright.
I need all 4.
I should also probably sleep soon. It is 1 in the morning. I think I probably want to do this gear patch up tomorrow if I'm starting to get a little bit tired. So I'll do something like buy an item and then not want it.
Yeah,
So,
seems like a good idea, man.
bit of an abrupt end here, I suppose, but I'm gonna call it quits for the night because this has already gone a little bit farther than I expected and turned out to be a fairly useful test. I am pretty glad that things seem to be working. I'm sure that I'm gonna go back to listen to the audio before bed and be super sad about it for some reason that I will only notice because I am insane, but all things considered, if nobody complained after finally got Wes's gating set up, then I think we are on track for relatively good things to be happening. Words. Good night, guys. I'll see you on Discord.
Good night, everybody.